Well, hello and welcome, everybody. It is time for the Constructors Tuesday. It is time for some race action around Hungaroring. Hello, and up in the broadcast booth with me tonight, as always, is your most welcome Dom. How you doing?
Very well. Thank you, Nicholas. Good to be back once again. Always a favourite of these Tuesday nights are the Constructors' Championships.
Yeah, they do bring us some very nice action. Last time around Kialami, we saw a very interesting second race. I'm pretty sure, considering how things went down yesterday evening in the practice, we're also going to see a lot of action here tonight. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Hungaroring, a very different track to last week out at Kyalami. Like you say, that second race was full of some shenanigans, we'll say, and there's going to be some tensions for sure between a lot of the drivers, a lot of teams, and even teammates. A lot of people maybe a little bit pent up anger maybe out there. Just actually in the corner of my eye, seen a GT4 take out a GT3 in in my practice in the practice lobby here. So tensions for sure. There's going to be some strange relationships. Let's hope for a cleaner race this time around, and yeah, we'll hopefully have some good, exciting action for these two races.
Yeah, turn one is going to be one of the main points where things are going to be going down and absolutely to business. I actually kind of thought of a pun where they have to defeat the Huns in turn one, but the problem is that actually the Huns, not the Hungaroring, but it's close enough for me. I'll be taking that. Up in the broadcast booth with us is going to be a very important man tonight. It's going to be the team chief with the double points in hands. How are you doing?
Hi guys, Jordan here. I'm doing great actually. A bit tired, but doing great. Looking forward to it.
Good to hear. Good to hear. So round number three. After this one, we'll cross the halfway point. This is obviously your moment in the sun then with the double points. And Aston Martin, you've had a. I'm gonna be as nice as I can. Not the easiest start to the season. We'll go with that. Obviously, your double points. Time to regain your order back up the field. How are you gonna progress with this round and then the next three after this?
Yeah, if it had to happen, it's best that it happened in the start. So yeah, we had some hiccups with team members, but I think we dealt with it. And yeah, I'm really happy that we dealt with it for our bonus round. I'm really confident. We have a strong GT3 team and recently stronger GT4 team. So I hope this will bring us closer to our competition because we are right now quite far behind. And moving forward, yeah, let's see if we can close the gap now, and then maybe the team spirit will rise, and so will our position.
Yeah, I like the way you think, and like say, you got those. You did have issues. That's unfortunate that it happened, but like say, happened at the start of the season. You've been able to get through it, get past it. You persevere. That's only going to make you stronger. And yeah, your GT3 team has been pretty much stellar. Every every single weekend, Clinch yourself, Winch as well, the number one car, all been up there all the times. Of course, like say, that GT4 team is forever progressing, and like say, if you can carry that momentum from this one, have a good weekend here, the next three should really come your way, and you're not too far off the rest of the field, and if you can carry that momentum, you can take those points away from the other drivers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm just feared of turn one hearing Hungaroring. If we all survive turn one, then I know that we can get. I mean, I'm confident that we can get even all four guys of GT3 in top 10, which would be stellar. And for GT4, I know that one player can get Hex can get into top three, and other one can have a chance to get midfield, get some good points. So as long as we all survive that dreadful turn one, I think we are golden for this race.
Yeah, very promising indeed. And speaking about turn one, we had a bit of an issue at turn two, Kyalami, on the second race. And turn one here, very similar to that, just basically flip it around. It's a 90 degrees to the right hander. If you can survive that, you'll be key. But Hungaroring, tricky track. Track limits are going to be pretty key around here. A lot of drivers do get caught out around here? Is it just about keeping it clean, keeping it safe for this one?
It's always a gamble, We are racing and we are not professionals, so we always say keeping it clean. It's better to be second and safe than first and in danger. But the truth is, when you are in the race, you just want to be first. Or before someone who is before you. So yeah, the track limits here are are we keeping it PG friendly? So they're
Try
really
and keep it PG, maybe. Let's go with that.
okay. So track limits here are really we can really cut you out fast, and especially when there will be some maneuvering around multi-class because it's really narrow track. So this will be really, really, really challenging, and also maneuvering around multi-class will be quite challenging because track is windy and narrow.
Yeah, exactly. Sector 2, highlighting that in its entirety, is all a single file corners. They're all single file, and that's in a GT3. And if you've got a GT4 in front of you, you're going to be
Or
losing.
are they single
Well,
file?
yeah,
We
well,
shall
that's the
see.
thing. We thought the kink, the penultimate corner at Kyalami, was single file, and we were proved wrong several times there. So I'm sure we will be proved wrong again. But near the end of practice, we're going to go to quali for GT3s. I know you're a GT3 driver yourself, so you've obviously got to get yourself practicing for that one. So thank you for your time, Jordan. Have a good qualifying session.
Thank, mate.
And that was Jordan here with the double points, double penalties tonight. We'll be seeing him out there in the 999. Honestly, I'm honestly quite happy to see them all up there in the free practice session right now. If they can repeat what they've been practicing, I'm actually quite sure they do great work in the GT3s.
Yeah, for sure. And someone who's come up the orders is the 911 car of Giuliani Mass, who's normally, not saying in the harshest way, but is normally of the bottom 4 out of the 4 GT3 Aston Martins. But he's there, P7, right behind Ryan Winch and right behind Don Jordan. So 5, 6, and 7th for them, with Clinch up in 3rd in this practice session at the moment. So he's really upped his game there as a 911 car in for the Aston Martin's GT3. So GT4, like Jordan said, Hackers is 2nd in practice, just off Verstappen there in the 747 Audi. So yeah, they've chosen the right track, it seems, for the Aston Martin to have those double points, and they are at the moment bottom in the championship, 100 or so points off P5, which sounds like a lot, but then they've already scored 1,000 points anyway, so it's actually only 10% off P5, which actually isn't a lot. Just sounds like a lot.
Let's have a quick look at the standings here. Up in front, obviously James Lacey seems to be absolutely mega drive so far. Same with Radek Schiller. Currently is sitting in position 3 in class. Obviously Aaron Ariday with the double points in there as well. Jeff too had some really good showings there, and I'm pretty happy to see that most of the front of the pack, at least in the GT3s, don't have a lot of penalties. You can hear already in the background already, there's a lot of cars starting to get out as we're about to head into qualification here. 10 minutes for the GT3s, then 10 for the GT4s as we're going down the standings order here. Who are you going to look out for tonight?
Surely it's got to be the Aston Martins. Clinch has got some, not so much payback, but he's got redemption. He had a bit of a tricky time out at Kyalami, especially that second race getting caught up in that turn 2 incident. He's going to be fighting up the field. For GT3s, though, for GT4s, sorry, Schuler, the BMWs are always quick, so Schuler and Varga always up there. And I'm curious to see what Hackers has to offer, because we haven't really seen the best offering from GT4, the Aston Martin team. And if they can progress their way up the field, I'm excited about that one.
Wonderful. Then let's jump right on over to the action. So that's the standing here. Porsche right now leading 2,684 points in front of BMW. They also had very good bonus round, both of these teams so far. Mercedes AMG at 1,691 points, then McLaren, Audi, and last but not least, Aston Martin. Jumping right on over there as we're getting ready. It's going to be the out laps for these guys right now. They're about to head onto some flying laps. So let's use that opportunity and follow along and onboard actually here in the Porsche number 7. That's going to be Jonas Red. Perhaps we actually do have an Aston Martin in the line here. I think that would be fitting, and there it is. Lovely stuff. I think that's Gilbert Wood, but let's just jump on board and have a look together here. So that's actually Alistair Clinch. And up into turn 1 here, late braking zone, want to stay nice and over to the left side. Make this as wide as possible, then fully flat on the power. Getting a bit of oversteer there, it's going to cost him some time. Now out and around, deep braking zone, start far on the right here and continue trailing that brake in. About 90 kilometers until you can accelerate and over far to the left side. Trying to carry as much momentum as you can. Now up in here, it's going to be turn 6 where you just send it from the right side. 5th gear to 3rd and over the curb. Bit defensive this time, setting somewhat of a banker lap I think. And 2nd gear around here, peel off the speed nicely and then far out to the left is where you want to go. That's exactly what he does. Now almost rear-ending the Porsche there because he wants to set the lap time that he absolutely needs. Now out and around, brakes 3rd to 2nd. Cut this as much as you can, and now smoothness is the key through the exit here. Seems to do quite nicely. Now clinch up into turn, I believe that is 9. Was that already 10? Anyways, up into the outside curbing there. Now looking to brake quite late as the curbing begins here. Into 2nd gear he'll keep it this time and using all of the exit. Straighten up the car and 3rd to 1st. Absolutely send it in there. Once the car sticks, it's already back out on the power. Very, very technical stuff here. You want to get the lines just right. 2nd gear, keep it around the outside there. Maintain about 100 kilometers before you stamp the foot on the ground. And that's going to be 1 lap right on that. Temporary pole position with 145.1.
Pretty neat lap there in general for Alistair Clinch. Obviously bypassing that number 7 Porsche that had to abort their lap for whatever reason. And looking at this track, there's so many acceleration zones, so many traction zones here compared to the likes of Kyalami or Mazzano that we had before. Turn 1, 3, 6, 7 and 8, the chicane, and then the entire last section are all basically traction zone. It's going to be a tricky one on the rear tires for these guys.
I honestly think that it's going to be about maintaining them for at least the first half of the race, because if you do run out of grip, it's very easy to go wide. And with the traction zones being quite narrow for a lot of the track, that means it's down to, can you maybe set your opponent up for an overtake? Because just straight up pace-based overtakes, that's only going to be happening in turn 1, if at all.
Yeah, for sure. Can we put them under pressure? Very much a single file, single line around here. Also, we heard from Jordan saying that it may not be just a single train, but some drivers may try and force that too wide issue, especially that second section is going to be pretty difficult for a lot of drivers to try and get moves done. But yeah, like I say, turn 1 is likely your best bet. Turn 3 as well can be used to set up an opportunity down to the kink at turn 5 as well. I see a few drivers try that one as well.
I would love to see them do it successfully and cleanly, most important. Now, excuse me there, Don Jordan has a couple of tenths up his back. Let's hope the lap is valid, because that would send him flying up the tables. We're going to see a couple of cars cross the line here. First of all, it's going to be Alistair Clinch. Then chasing, it's going to be a group of 2. So he does improve. 44.6 is the new time to beat. Oh, I actually just went to the pit lane instead of going to the car I wanted. So that's going to prove a problem. So Don John does improve P3 now. Lacey's super close there, chasing. Position number 2 for the Porsche Racing 69 is actually beaten there by Badowski. Gets the new fastest lap in here in this quali. We have a 144.4, so that's already a number that won't be easily checked out.
Yeah, quick lap times already coming in. And I'm going to mention the track conditions are very sedate, pretty boring actually compared to Kyalami. Track temperature and the ambient both being 22, so pretty cold actually, to be honest, in relation to Kyalami. So drivers are going to be pretty pleased about that, seeing some cooler conditions, a bit more favourable for most of the drivers. Makes things a lot more consistent, and I think drivers are going to be pleasantly happy to see that.
Fairly close to optimum, really. It's something that we haven't seen too much of. I'm sure for the next round we'll probably see a different turn of events there as well. I'm thinking isn't it Monza coming up after this?
There's rain on the horizon for one of the events.
Yeah,
sure.
I know that for sure. Just as Martin Schaefer knows that he can just jump to P4 on that Seaton Hybrid number 27 McLaren. What a lap. Absolute banger of a lap. Almost a second quicker than his previous fastest. Now, same here. We do have the double points here. Number 420, Alistair Klitsch has a couple of tenths in the back. Let's see if he can convert 44.0. Damn, that's the new fastest lap around here.
Yeah, impressive. James Lacey never front run in the 69. 4 tenths away, goes second, just beats out Marco Badłowski, but 4 tenths, and that is an impressive margin that Alistair Klitsch holds over the rest of the field.
Now, what I want to see is a couple of more cars after they now have their decent first couple of laps and really try and push the track limits here, because that's where you're going to be gaining most of the time. See, a couple of cars do have time in the back here. Checking in with Marius Dahlgren here, who's heading into the final sector in the number 89 McLaren. Currently up about 7 tenths. That would be enough to leapfrog him almost into the top 10. Not quite yet. Maybe have to improve on that as well. Still has a couple of corners to clear here. Now into this fast sweeping right-hander. Probably holding second gear here. Waiting for the car to grip on up. And now out there. Start-finish line. Markus Dahlgren improves, but not by much. P14.
Looking good for the Aston Martins at the moment. Also, we've got Klitsch in the 420 up in pole. Giuliani Mass just went P5 in the 911 car, and Don Jordan there in the 999. But in the pits is Ryan Winch, actually just coming out the pits, is that number 1 car in 12th place with 12.5 minutes left to go in quali. He's going to have obviously 2.5 minutes then for GT3, means he'll have 1 out lap of it, and 1 more chance to improve on their lap time.
He'll definitely have to put all of it in there, because that's not really the pace that he was driving in the practice. Probably it might be the fast conditions catching him off guard a little bit. So it's not 100% perfect, but he'll have to make the most of it.
Yeah, without making the most of it, Don Jordan up to P5 and Giuliani Massa P6. So we've got 1st, 5th, 6th, and then obviously 12th with Ryan Winch, Aston Martins. Looking pretty good here. They're improving as all the laps go by, as we've got just under 2 minutes to go. Most of these drivers are now coming on to their final laps here in GT3.
Yeah, and with that, the times are going to be set in stone. Mark Argott hopes to get himself out of the bottom end of the top 10 here. Currently has a couple of 10s in that McLeod Racing Team 741. And as Aston is looking strong, I'm sure there's still a little bit of time to find. Not sure if it's going to be 3 or 4 10s that Lacey and Badowski would need to topple that throne. Mark Argott, however, is going to come across the line with a nice fat delta. That's going to be enough for P2, 44.1. What a lap. And what a final sector, most importantly.
Extremely impressive indeed. Bridges that gap then between Klitsch and Lacey of that 4 tenths, halves it and gives just under 2 tenths then to Alistair Klitsch. First one that's been able to seemingly put even a bit of a reach then to Klitsch, who seemed very far out in the distance, but maybe not all his way then for now.
And the track is getting faster as the quali continues to progress. So if you are one of the final cars out on track, you're going to be finding more grip than Klitsch had available when he actually got started with all of this. We are going to be putting up the picture-in-picture and a couple, just for your information, so you can get the final attempt up and center screen. Seems that he still has a couple of 10s. Checking in just quickly here with James Lacey, who does have a lot of potential up in his back, right on there, coming across the line in number 69. Is going to jump to P2, just squeezing in between Elgard and Klitsch right on there. Now qualifying not quite over yet. Let's bring up the mentioned picture-in-picture here of the final sector. Marco Badowski. No, can't improve with the time that he found. Is 1.5 tenths of the time he needed. So fastest lap still remains in the hands of Klitsch.
The others who are out on track don't seem to be improving at the moment. A lot of people just backing off on their final laps, and we'll just see a couple of GT4s coming down pit road as their time is about to begin for their 10 minutes of quali. It seems like the grid is set up for GT3.
Yeah, it's basically game over time if you're finished your final lap here in the GT3s. Marcus Dahlgren will have the final opportunity of the evening here to make something happen. Goes 12th fastest with a 45.3. That's a last minute effort, but he'll make it count, jumping almost to the top 10 here at the back of the those as we are preparing for some GT4 goodness. Obviously, we have to look at Radek Schiller, who's been going sands down, one of the strongest GT4 drivers I've had the pleasure of watching so far, and he'll be challenged tonight by the Aston squad. I found them also quite strong in the test race yesterday. Do you think the BMW is going to be able to overpower just based on the engine, or is that something which isn't really going to go down on that factor?
Well, with Hungaroring basically being a Monaco, but with the walls slightly further away from the actual track limits, their advantage with that horsepower is going to be severely limited compared to Kyalami. Obviously, Kyalami, we saw that long straight from the hairpin, the final corner,
right,
all the way. And look at them, it's like Monza here for Formula One. They're all backing up here, trying to find their own little space here in qualifying, showing how much that maybe that dirty air, but just having a bit of track space and a bit of clean vision into each corner is very beneficial. And yeah, they're still backing their way up there. BMW will be powerful all the way down to turn 1 and then up the hill through the kink at 5, but a lot of mid-speed corners here, and I don't know if the BMW will fare too well, but Schuler we know is a extreme talent, and he'll pull the best out of that if he can.
Yeah, I saw them really trying quite hard yesterday in the evening as well, putting some 53 lap pairs. Just really quick, seeing that it's just 10 seconds of a difference. Actually, jumping to the front of the pack here, Daniel Barnett is going to be the first car out on track here to set a potential lap time. I feel like the Audi in itself has good potential, but honestly, I really haven't driven it enough to make a proper statement on that. Now, we're going to see who gets things done here. 7 minutes are only at it's the only time they're going to be having to set valid lap times around here, and just into the chicane. You want to be sending that maybe even a bit more. Seemed invalid potentially. We'd see if he was able to convince the FIA with that. Either way, it's the final sector, and final sector is showdown time, because that's 3, 4, 5 tenths to be gained. Got to get the braking right, bring the car to the inside there, hug that apex, and just narrowly avoid a track cut on the exit there as we're up on the power. And once again, this is where you have to get it all together. Be aggressive, but don't get it into a slide.
The tricky in the GT4s, not so much mechanical nor aero grip for these corners. So they do suffer a little bit, especially the first corner of that third sector, that 90 right. Can be a little bit tricky in the GT4s, especially putting down the power out the final corner. Runs not too wide actually good exit out there, comes across the line, goes obviously P22, but it's first of the GT4 cars.
Yeah, let's bring that on up. So temporary pole position for Daniel Barnett is a second quicker than Barton. Sjölbom have to go into the second spot for now, as Schiller blows them away, is a second quicker than Bonnet with a 53.6. That's exactly the sort of pace I was talking about, and that's sort of fast track as well.
Yeah, we expected him to be quick, maybe not that much quicker than everyone else, and I think a lot of the competition's going to be a little bit worried about that one for sure, seeing such a quick time immediately going just over a second quicker than everyone else. He's put down the gauntlet, same as Alistair clinched it in GT3, and he had a couple of challenges near the end of it. 5 minutes to go, I'm sure there'll be a few GT4s that aren't too happy with his pace and want to knock him off that top spot.
Jib Wood coming across the line, and that is actually not a valid lap here, so McLaren is finding themselves a bit at the back end of the scoreboard right on here. They have to continuously find more pace in order to get themselves a good starting position for both of the races here tonight. Jumping back a little bit on the field, that's also Christopher Verstappen now in the Audis, is currently setting the first flying lap here in the 747, comes across the line, and is going to jump to second place. Very nice. We saw him doing some very promising pace up here in the practice session earlier as well.
Yep, starting to bridge that gap then all the way up to Mr. Schuler there.
Yeah,
so not quite in those 53s, but they're getting there.
Yeah, Bartmacher in the 55, as you mentioned there, not far off. 7/10 is something that they definitely can find in here, but consistency is really where this thing is going to go down to, and a bit more of a gap, I feel like, than what we saw last time around, as we have Tarantino Jacob, that is, in the Porsche Racing, car ahead of that, 54.8, just currently enough for 4th position in class, as he just gets taken out there. Emil Sjörbom will just grab that spot. 7.5 tenths off in the BMW Motorsport 1-3.
Yeah, the battle for second looking like the key fight at the moment. Radek obviously checking out there with 7 tenths of a gap, but second, third, and fourth all within the same tenth as each other. So we'll see you can bridge those gaps though to Radek, but at the moment, yeah, the battle for second looking quite tasty at the moment.
Yeah, and Carl would have been very much up in that battle. RWB Haxum number 18 here. Very nice Fun Attack based livery we're seeing there. Last lap 54.2 that was. However, that is invalid, and with that, and once again a bit of a slide there to miss the yellow flag car on the outside, it's going to be very tough. If you don't set a lap, you're going to be at the end of the grid, and it's going to be much more of a challenge, since chances are there's maybe going to be some contact in the GT3s as well. So yeah, we really want to get that qualifying effort here. Let's follow on board with Hax here up into this third sector in a moment. See if he can manage to carry the time across the line. Ooh, Verstappen, you might want to cover that one. Actually got pole.
Indeed, we've got the Audi, who was looking good in practice there. Mr. Verstappen takes it by 2.5 seconds, 2.5 tenths, sorry, imagine that 2.5 seconds would be crazy. 2.5 tenths then over Mr. Schuler, and Bert Meijer as well, bringing up the gap just half a second away from the 747 Audi. So the times are coming down. Daniel Barnett coming across the line now. He's improving on his time, goes to P4, but still just under a second away from our now new pole setter, Verstappen.
And let's see what Alex has to think of that. Coming across the line seems promising. Is it? It's enough for P4, 8 tenths off, but that doesn't mean he will stay there. Still has two opportunities to set a quicker lap here. Not much delta happening outside of Peter Vargas' BMW. He's crossing up on the final sector with some comfy 7-8 tenths up in his pocket. Let's see if he can carry it across the start-finish line here. Currently sitting in P8. Is that going to be an improvement here? Coming across the line, it looks like it's enough just barely for P5. Almost would have had Hax in the back there, squeezing in between the Aston and the Audi for now.
Good lap there by Varga. The BMW seemingly to hold their advantage. I wasn't too sure they'd keep around a track like Hungaroring, but Schuler, Varga and Splum also, they're just really quick drivers, and we got Daniel Barnett in the pits then, meaning he won't go out on go any faster than P6, along with Bouvier and Burley, the 51 and the 43. Neither of them are out on track, and neither of them have set a time either, so they'll be starting at the back in GT4, which is unfortunate for them. Gilbert Wood, the number 8 car, the only one yet to set a time. He is out on track and hopefully on a valid lap time, so he should get a time on the board.
He definitely should. I mean, considering he's just on the outlap with this going to be his final attempt, he'll have to make something happen. Talking about making something happen, Radek Schuler, hopefully for him, he's on a valid lap still, because he's currently carrying 5 tenths. That would be a 52 absolutely nutty pace on a fast track. Let's see if he can bring it across the line. Might have to cross the Audi that's ahead of him. See what the number 96 car can do. It's going to be the first to cross the line with. You definitely have to check with Hax as well in a brief moment here. Damien, work that you're following, currently not quite where they are. Schuler coming across the line. Is it going to be enough? Yes, absolutely. 52.9 demolishes the lap time and sets a new personal best around here, I think.
That is, that's unbelievable. To go sub 53 in a GT4 car is, yeah, that's a very impressive pace. Damien Wilk then comes across the line, goes P9 from 13 up a couple of places, and yeah, mega pace from the 96 BMW.
Yeah, quite fascinating, really. I would love to take a look at the lap there. What kind of pace he put in? I saw him using third gear a lot. Maybe that's the key to the BMW's heart. See what Kevin Shepard can do, and currently his 16th spot has a lot of room to improve yet. So let's see what he can do. About a second up in the Delta would be enough for P14. Not quite. P15 it is. 2.5 seconds, or 2.7 being more precise, off the pace here. Let's see what Bart Magia can do. Most importantly, pull up to the pit lane. That's not going to be improvement for him. RWB Hacks is in the final sector on these final flying laps. So all cars out on track. These laps still count. Make the most of them and get that improvement you want to see. Let's follow along as Hacks in the Roddy Bell Donut Racing number 18 is hoping to find a position 3 here on the grid. Second row is probably going to be where he ends up. Let's see if he can improve on his time just a little bit.
Emil coming across the line, improved his time a little bit, bumps him up to P6, just behind his teammate Peter Varga. So it's a BMW 5-6 at the moment.
I do have to cover something in a moment. So Hacks, not quite. 0.889 is not enough for him to improve. So only a few cars out on track. Still Button ending the session there. And look at the bottom of the timetables there, as Thompson and Bouvier in the GT4 Aston Martin. Not sure if that's a quali ban, but either way, it's absolutely tragic for the two of them, since they're not really where they want to be at all.
And not at all. And someone who can tell us the answer to that is GTR Jordan. A reason for why the 51 there, Bouvier, did not take or did not partake in qualifying.
He had quali ban.
There was a quali ban. Unfortunate, but yeah, these things happen. It could be a blessing for him. You never know what goes on into turn 1. So he may be able to pick up a couple of spots there, and with quite a bit of pace difference at the tail end of GT4, there should be some pretty easy spots for him in the first opening laps.
Especially, I look at it, it's big crowd for turn 1, as we spoke earlier. And my advice to him was, just stay put, stay safe, watch if something happens, and then go around. You can easily gain like 5 positions, like no real effort. So I don't think he's not a strong qualifier. He has decent race pace, but he's not a strong qualifier. So I don't think this is a really... he could turn this around into a midfield.
Yeah, that's promising to hear that maybe he's not the strongest in that qualifying pace, but race pace obviously sounding a bit better. Looking at GT3 though, you've got to be very happy with that for sure. So we've gone ourselves to the grid. We've got 4 minutes here, so we'll be as quick as we can. But GT3 qualifying, you've got to be pretty happy with that one for sure.
As a team, I am. As a racer, I'm not.
P7, you can't be too displeased with that for yourself.
This is one of my favorite tracks, and I really have the pace here, which I have not shown. It was not one of my laps. So yeah, as a racer, not, but as a team, I'm very, very pleased. We have already 3 cars in top 10. I know that Winch can easily, if he's not he will not tangle with someone, he can easily get into top 10. So, so far as a team, we are doing a stellar job. Hex got into top 5, and others are all in the reach of midfield, because as you saw that the times are so incredibly close. 10 guys in 1 second. Everything can happen. So far, I'm optimistic.
Yeah, that's good to hear. The conditions changing then for the race is a lot darker out there. How are you going to face those conditions? Obviously, track temperatures as well are going to be a little bit different as well.
Well, we noticed yesterday that during the first race, because there's a twilight going tonight, the temperature drops quite a bit. So my strategy and what we talked with guys is to pump up the tires a bit more for the start. So after the pit stop, when the tires get cold, you still get them to your optimum pressures. So this is actually the only strategy here, because we have full dry weather.
Yes, of course, full dry weather makes it a little bit easier for you guys to deal with, and yeah, sounds like a good strategy. We've got 2 minutes on the grid. I'll let you to it. Obviously, you've got some things to do yourself, so have a good race, and we'll see you a little bit later on.
Cheers, guys.
All right, and with that said, we're jumping over to the grid, and what we're finding right up in there in the first row is going to be the Aston Martin that they're going to be looking for. It's going to be Clinch up in first, sharing the first row with Lacey, who's been showing some very promising pace here as well in the 69. Then it's going to be Elgard in third position next to Badowski, the first McLaren in front of Mars. That's the second Aston Martin here. Then Schaefer up in P6. It's going to be John, and so lots of Astons at the front. Then Kjergen, not quite where I was originally expecting him, but props to him for finishing that in P8. Newcomer next to Godzilla. That's going to be your top 10 so far. Then the first BMW I saw every day is next to Dahlgren in row number 6. Then it's going to be Jeff. Really not the starting position he was looking for, considering the finish last time. Then Winch, as well as Brown and Eugenie, one of the first Audis down in the grid here. Then Lenz is next to RWB here, almost wrapping up the GT3 field here. So we got a couple more cars. It's going to be Red and De Vries as we're going into this beautiful turn. And Veach finishing up the GT3 field. Then sitting BMW next to BMW pole position sitter Schiller was in the 52s in quali. Very impressive here. Verstappen and Macho will be trying to hunt him down at very similar pace, just as Hex and Varga did. So BMW very well represented here up at the front. It's going to be Sjöblom, Gilbert Wood, then Barnett and Tarantino right on there. Porsche also quite strong finishes so far. Wilk and Mason, Alegria, Turentovic, Grass, as well as L. Then Shepard, Barton, Sjöblom, Schlachter, as well as Thompson and Bouvier, as we are setting our way up into the night. Let's have a look at the race start from the side here, panning as we're starting to go up into the first turns. Bit of a gap here, so you see the GT3 field, the GT4 field, as we're getting ready for the race start. Let me get that wrapped up for you here. Beautiful stuff. And it's going to be in just a second then. Green lights, and away we go. Beautiful start. Right up there, jumping up to the helicam. 3 wide immediately. Mega start from the AMG then. 4 wide in the background. Let's see if they can keep it clean here. And very late braking there, as we see the AMG take the inside. Absolute banger of a start. Right there. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's follow the mid-pack here. 3 wide, McLaren in the middle. Can they make it work? So far they're looking to continue. Bit of a shove there, and the Aston is forced to slow down as we're finding ourselves with a big crash there in the background. We see a couple of GT3s and GT4s all getting mixed up. Very early rejoin by the BMW. Super crazy to go on that early. So field is starting to get mixed here, that's for sure. See, up at the front, so far so clean, and I'll bring you the picture here in a second for you all to take a look.
Yeah, what a hectic start. Those GT4s giving themselves a bit of breathing room and fear of tangling with the GT3s made no difference whatsoever. Straight into turn 3, there were GT3s almost everywhere. Mark Engelhard held the lead for all about 5 seconds, and then down the inside at turn 3 when Alistair Clinch took that right back from the Mercedes then. But a really impressive start from Mark. Go 3 wide down the middle into turn 1. Took James Lacey down the inside, Lacey going a bit deep into 1, and then took briefly first position, getting a good traction out of turn 1 and through turn 2. But yeah, Clinch taking it back through turn 3, holds the lead at the moment. Mark Engelhard, James Lacey round up your top 3, and they have a bit of a gap here at the moment to the top 2.
Yeah, and they're starting to separate, just as you said, bringing up the deltas here. So we can see that there's a couple of cars missing here, caught up in the early accident that we mentioned. It's going to be Xavier Eugenie that dropped from P60 now in the middle of the pack, as well as Alex Reach, Aaron Ariday, and Jonas Red, all just very, very far back in the field now. Chasing this here up and to the fight that Martin Schaefer. I don't know if it really was his fault at all. It was just barely caught in the middle of it, or maybe some of the cars behind him. They tried to go 3 wide up into turn 3, and that's just nowhere you want to be 3 wide at all.
And I don't think you want to be 3 wide anywhere on this track, let alone turn number 3. But a lot of the cars making it, forcing it so, and forcing a couple of people to compromise and think about their own race and I think a bit of bullying may have happened there. Obviously, a bit unfortunate with the contact happened into turn 3. Top 2 running away just a little bit here in GT3, as James Lacey's coming under pressure from Marco Badwowski, as well as Don Jordan, who's swapped places with Giuliani Mass as well. And Kurjan as well, who, like you said in that rundown through the grid, who's being very impressive here at the Hungaroring. Not a name that we've seen in the top 10 really in this championship, but currently up in P6, made a position off the start, and yeah, looking promising here for the number 150 here.
Yeah, AMG, OMG indeed. So it's quite nice to see him up there. It seems that the AMG in general seems to be quite well suited for the track that we're facing tonight. And Clinch still ahead. Lacey doesn't seem to really have the pace at the moment. Had to drop a full second of a gap, potentially evading a warning at some point during the lap here. As we're following the slipstream, it's going to be Carrion to the outside. Let's see if he can make something happen here. Up into T1 and goes around the outside. Manages to stick there for just a moment. Not enough traction there though. That's the outside line. That's not where you're going to find the pace. So he'll have to hold on to that thought for now.
Yeah, just showing his nose in the mirrors, trying to put those ahead of him a little bit under pressure. Under pressure is the leader here in GT3, Alistair Clinch. Hasn't been able to escape after getting that lead back through turn 3 on the opening lap here, and yeah, really under pressure is Alistair Clinch. Mark, you know, he wants that lead back, and he's going to do everything he can to do that. Like you say, the MGs here looking extremely promising around this track in GT3, and he's going to be putting that pressure on the entire way. Sparks flying everywhere through that curve.
Yeah, I feel like that's really part of the system, you could say, where the AMG is just able to basically skip one corner entirely with the fact they are so dominant over the curbs here. Beautiful pictures that we're seeing as they're going up into the night here in Hungary. It's currently 8:20 in-game time. I think the second race is even later. So I'm honestly quite surprised to see, hold on, that might have been an overtake? No, not quite. It's just to the inside where Dahlgren puts a bit of pressure on Schaefer here in the battle for position number 9. Not too many overtakes, gotta be frank.
Yeah, I think people are just trying to keep it a little bit safer. Yeah, I think people who would have definitely heard about that crash into turn 3, and maybe the mindset's changed a little bit, that they don't want to repeat from Kyalami. That was a very scruffy race indeed. We had a nice round out at Mazzano for the opener. It was pretty well behaved, and it seemed to go a little bit down the drain there at the second round at Kyalami. I think people, after hearing that crash at turn 3, they just want to rein it in a little bit. There's no point throwing away unnecessary points so early on in the championship.
Yeah, I'm very happy to see that they've tuned it down a little bit, realized where their strengths are going to be, and that's in finishing in the mid-pack, up a little bit higher if you have the pace, but most importantly, finishing without the penalty points and without a DNF, most of all. Right, so what we've been following here is Craig Gilbert Wood, and a bit of a surprise to me is that Verstappen, I think we quickly mentioned that, is now sitting a little bit behind the leaders, Mitcha and Schiller. We'll have to look back at the start of the race. Maybe the incident was the reason for that. Either way, he isn't at the pole, at the lead of the GT4 pack where he started the race in.
No, so a couple of issues there, but he is there on the back of them, isn't too far away. Thankfully, we should be able to regain a little bit of that time, but he's lost a couple of those GT3s making their way back up through. Xavier Eugenie, one of them, the 42 car, having to make their way back up through the GT4 grid. It's just going to agitate those GT4s just a little bit extra. It's a little bit unnecessary, but it's part of racing, and something they all would have to deal with at some point.
Yeah, it's going to be about maybe 10-15 minutes in until we probably see the first overtakes there. Getting very feisty. Marco Badowski wanted to go for a move on the AMG that's carrying ahead of them. Now compromise the exit. That might give Mars a line here. To the inside he goes. Jumps there. Brakes very nice indeed. And that's not quite enough, as he actually doesn't have the grip on the inside there. Just throws both of them off the racing line, reducing a bit more of a gap to the cars ahead.
Indeed, and you're picture on board then with RWB Hacker, the Aston Martin GT4 driver, trying to go defensive actually on Xavier Eugenie, that 42 GT3 that we mentioned previously. He's trying to hunt down Daniel Barnett and Peter Varga, the 2 cars ahead of him, the Audi and the BMW respectively. They are currently, I think, P5, P6 in class. Not too sure to be honest.
Yeah, we'll have to check in with that in a second. I actually put that up in to the full screen because I'm trying to find the action. I feel like every time I'm switching over to a different camera, there's just an overtake that has already happened. For example, here RWB Godzilla in the 34, now 11th place behind Dahlgren. So it's quite tough. I feel like the second sector has so much action to it. When you're not there, things just happen, and then it's back to single file, and it looks like nothing would have been going on, where in reality they're just fighting quite hard actually.
Indeed, action happening up and down the field for the cars on track here, and for the cars around a very short and a very narrow track like Hungaroring, things are bound to happen. And of course, you look one place and the action happens somewhere else, and you miss it entirely. But that pit window is now open. It's opened pretty quickly, and they obviously have to deal with that contention for their strategy, and we'll see how that plays out. And I think a couple of GT4s made box early, just get themselves out the loop. The GT3s will tend to go a little bit longer to push themselves ahead of that GT4 pack.
There we actually see Nate Newcomer overtaking the also red and white Porsche sister car in the GT4. So that was the sort of early pit stop that you were talking about. Jeff as well, starting a bit further back this time, finds themselves in P15 with an early pit stop opportunity.
It's going to be intriguing to see how the pit stop phases work out.
Ooh. Looks like Elgard made a mistake, lost over a second there during this first sector. Must have been a big slide or avoiding track limits if at that. Let's jump on board into the dash cam, follow along. It's that jumping the chicane there. Look how much the Porsche jumps up and down. It's a little bit of a bouncy castle moment in all honesty there. AMG, however, is not phased by that at all. It is once again just riding off in the sunset. Second sector is that turf.
A small mistake then for the P2 man, Mr. Engelhard, but regains at the moment, and you can just see in the top of your picture there where Alistair clinches, so they're not really, the clinch hasn't really been able to pull a large gap, definitely not comfortable by any stretch of the imagination, goes deep into the corner, does Lacey, a very alternate line to the Mercedes ahead of him. Of course, you can see in his rearview mirror that the headlights are following him as Don Jordan and the 150 car. Jordan up to P4, so Badwarski slipping down the order as well. And yeah, it's a very different feel, a different vibe to it. And of course, there's a GT4 coming out the pits, and down the inside of another GT4 goes the.
It's basically forced to go 3 wide, and that's the
Jordan there.
Yeah, John seizes the opportunity and squeezes now outside sandwich loaves for both the GT3s as they're passing, and it's not enough for an opportunity, but wow, they had to pay some good respects there to the GT4 class, not to make any contact. What the showcase of their racecraft.
That shows how quickly it can all unravel for a driver. You have one car that you're going to normally overtake down the inside if it's a GT4, you think that's fine. One comes out the pits, that spooks you maybe. You go 2 wide, you go one side of the GT4. Again, here we go. Side
once
by side.
again.
There's a GT4 in the middle. Which way do you go? That GT4 is going to be terrified, the poor thing, getting bullied out the way. And, you know, this is the thing you have to do. If you don't want to lose time to your competitors, and I bet you there's a bit of contact just out the bottom of your screen. Indeed, there is. One of the GT4s has gone off there.
Yes, Joe Karen, after a very promising start, dropping back the order now quite significantly, as I think he stalled the engine completely and is now forced to basically just wait for something to happen. There he is, getting back in the race. Must have been some contact with the GT4s, I imagine.
Yeah, without a doubt. 3 into 1 and a chicane such as that. The GT4s were trying their best to give the GT3s as much room as they could, but like I say, you don't want to lose any time to those GT4 cars, and like we saw there with these two here, Don Jordan and James Lacey, they were going side by side. They did it on 2 occasions there, and that's just so they don't lose any time to their rivals. You know, these are the things you have to do. If you have to go one side and the other side of a GT4, you're going to do it. It puts the GT4s in a bit of a compromised situation.
Yeah, it's it's really not just like where you want to go, it's almost where you have to go to continue being competitive here up at the front. I mean, if Jace Lacey is in your rear view mirrors, you better be prepared to to get overtaken creatively.
Yeah, for sure. And in your picture-in-picture, we have a three-way fight here over P4, 5, and 6 in GT4. That's headed by Peter Varga, Daniel Barnett, and RWB Hacker, that leading GT4 Aston Martin there. These three have been battling over for their positions for a little bit while, and we're going to be seeing this GT3 pack come into contention with these guys pretty soon, so I wonder if that'll shake up this little battle. And down the inside, actually, trying to look, is the number 18 car. Couldn't quite make it happen in that picture-in-picture, but you see in the background, those GT3s are going to be coming, and it's going to be interesting to see how they shake up the GT4 fight.
Yeah, I think that fight is really it's going to be basically a small stophold when they do arrive there, considering they still have the opportunity to pit a little bit ahead of them now. Not too much time though before they are going to catch up. It's about half a lap that separates them now from the leading GT3 pack. Bit of a separation happening now. Alistair Clint, just to quickly go down the order a couple of minutes into the stint, managed to get out of T1 unscathed and is hoping to bring a double weighted win for Aston Martin. Then following closely, Mark Elgard is right on there, 2 seconds, and then a 4-second gap for those fighting lovelies here. P3, 4 and 5 very much packed together. There's going to be James Lacey leading ahead of Don Jordan right here in the Aston Jordan Racing. We had him in the interview looking to show the kind of pace that he was talking about earlier, and not quite this time into turn 1, very close though, waiting for an opportunity. So is Marco Podolski in the Team McLaren 45, that's P5 as well, ahead of Nate Newcomer, who had a very good start for him, gained 2 positions quite early on, such as RWB Godzilla. There's a couple of cars already with their pit stops. Regardless, he finds himself P7 after a P10 qualifying effort. Then Gianni Lenz, about the same story there. I actually did skip someone that must have been the P8 car in between there. I'm very confused. Yeah, Crawford Brown, that is. Game didn't really want to look at that. So Crawford Brown is at P8. Then Gianni Lenz, who we talked about in the Pastor Maldonado, number 777 P10, wrapping up the group is Simon Tribeck here.
Yeah, and in that picture-in-picture, you would have seen that there's a bit of contact between RWB Hackers, that Aston Martin, who's on that double points score this evening, made contact with Daniel Barnett coming through turns 11 and 12 there. But unfortunately, goes the Audi then, that is Daniel Barnett going into the pits immediately after a bit of contact coming through the chicane of 10 and 11. They were fighting over a position through turns 2 and 3. Actually made a bit of contact a couple of times, those two cars, but yeah, then coming to blows even more so. And yeah, a bit of contact there, maybe a bit of a review for the stewards there, but it shows how hard these drivers are fighting over just the smallest of places.
Really want to just bring yourself in a position where you get some clean air, because ooh, that's GT, and in the wall, that who exactly is that? If I may have a quick look, that's the wrong way around. That is going to be Jakob Gras dropping way back from the GT4 field. What's up there? Let's go back 30 seconds and have another look there in your picture you might have seen.
I'll have a look at that. Which number driver was that?
It's alright. I'm doing the. You can keep on the action actually.
Okay,
I'll just bring this up. This is actually too late. Wait, how is he parked it right over there? It's so far away from the racetrack. What? Okay, I actually have to go back to the replay now and watch what happened there.
Investigate that one a little further, because unless he was trying to go for pit road originally, the fact that he 90 degrees to the right when you should be turning left is quite impressive. Maybe getting up on the AstroTurf and spinning it just a little bit. In your picture-in-picture, you can see RWB Hacker going down the inside of Jack Mason through turns 11 and 12, going past a slower Audi GT4 driver. And yeah, action all over the place here in GT4 with an incident and some positions being made and lost here.
Alright, looks like after the replay I'm having a little bit of trouble. with broadcast clients, so you're gonna have to quickly take on over for just a hot minute.
Okay, we can do that for sure. So we'll bring up the broadcasting tab for you guys so you can see what's going on here, and bring up the times as well. So we'll flick back up then to the front of the field and have a look at Alistair Clinch. P2 has made their way to pit road. That's Mark Elgard then, who was fighting over P2 and P3 with James Lacey in that end of the first half of the stint. They've made their way to pit road along with Crawford Brown, and Nate Newcomer. They're making their stop. You see a couple of drivers in GT3 have already made their way to pit road, Aussie, indicated by that little golden number 1. You see it next to their driver number. If they've got a golden 1, that means they have one more mandatory pit stop to make. Once that goes to green, they're done. And you see at the top of your screen there's that pit window as well. They've got 10 minutes to enter pit road, so they don't have to complete it within that 9 minutes, but as long as they are in pit road by the end of that 9 minutes, then they will be okay to finish that stop outside of the pit timer. And you see James Lacey then has dropped a bit away from the back of Alistair Clinch, 6.5 seconds then the gap between P1 and P2. Couple of fights up and down the order. One to look at then is a Jeff in P13, and at the moment a little bit disappointing, I think, for Mr. Jeff here, who's we've seen in the last 2 rounds of the last 4 races then.
Yeah.
He's been in the top 5, top 6 quite consistently, and down in P13 he's battling. He's under pressure from the 89 McLaren and getting a couple of places through pit stops at the moment, but battling down in just outside the top 10, really not what he wants to see at the moment.
It's quite surprising to me. Maybe it's just the Audi in itself, seeing that Brown is also the car ahead, just in the top 10. Perhaps it's just the Audi not being so well fitted with the curvature that they basically have to run over every lap. Also could be just based on the driver preference too, seeing that Kyalami obviously is a track that you're probably going to love if you're in the Audi anyway. So chances are we'll see him back in action on Monza next time round.
Yeah, without a doubt, and under pressure at the moment then from that 89, but close with his teammate just ahead of him. And yeah, maybe it is just the way that the Audi is operating around this track isn't quite favourable. Obviously, their third teammate down in 20th, I think, last in GT3, but then Verstappen, of course, in the GT4 Audi is doing quite well, so characteristics obviously not following between the GT3 and GT4 cars. But even though if you have an off round, you can claw it back, and Jeff has been doing some stellar drives in the first 2 rounds, so we know he'll be back on pace for sure in the following half of the season. 7 minutes left in that pit window, and we're pretty much done with the pit stops here.
Let's talk a little bit about statistics here. Elgard, for example, with the fastest lap of the race, tended to go for an early pit stop, as I'm quickly changing back to the regular picture-in-picture. Mine being up right in the middle. Crawford Brown here, tending to go around the outside here, hoping to clear the GT4 in time, which he will. Now under pressure here, I'm honestly thinking that there's going to be a good chance here of Jeff being forced around the outside then, as the GT3 and GT4 multi-class battle at its finest.
Yeah, of course, and I mentioned this last week out at Kyalami. If you're coming up to some GT4s that are battling over position, they're not going to give you an inch whatsoever, because they don't care about GT3s, the GT3s don't care about the GT4s. They're all fighting over their own respective positions, and the GT3s have got to learn to deal with that and get around those GT4s that are battling. And yeah, it makes for some exciting racing for sure. You just saw Winch there go through those 2 GT4s and separate them. And you can see they were side by side, and then in comes an Aston Martin, disrupts the battle.
That is in a Porsche spun right on there. That's actually Jonas Red, not with the best race so far. Absolutely not. Finding themselves in the middle of the GT4 pack actually at the moment, and the pit stop already served. Quite unhappy with that race result. I'm sure that he still has another shot. However, in the second run of this, couple of cars already up in the pit lane, with some very pit stops in general, I have to say. James Lacey here chasing Godzilla, who I think must have gotten past in the pit stop, if I'm not mistaken, of that. Maybe a different car? Okay, hold on, let me check. That's John Jordan, right? But was it Lacey here? I'm pretty sure something happened in the pit stop, that's for sure.
Right. Possibly, yeah, because Lacey's now behind Don
Yeah.
Jordan, so maybe, well,
Yeah, checking
Lacey was
my...
pretty late to pit road compared to Jordan. I think Jordan stopping a couple of laps beforehand, so maybe just those extra laps in traffic for James Lacey was enough to cost him that switch in the pit stop.
Now, the thing that I'm actually looking at in my client here is the fact that the pit stop of Jordan was almost 3 seconds quicker than Lacey. So either way, he must have done something with the pit crew, or them especially, where it's working like an absolute machine here.
Yeah, 3 seconds is a time that is not to be wasted at all, and in a pit stop it's really time that shouldn't be wasted whatsoever, and it is just no fuel, no tyres, sorry, has to be taken during this one. It's just a couple of litres of fuel to meet the criteria, so
Yeah.
really it shouldn't be too much of an issue for the drivers here. It's, if anything, the simplest pit stop in the world, so the fact that you're losing 3 seconds, maybe overran his pit stall just by a couple of meters, and the game's had to push him back into position, could be the reason why he's lost that time. We just see a car just off there through the chicane.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure who that was, but it seems that they've been able to rejoin their position quite neatly now.
Now with the overtake here of Dahlgren, sees himself with the opportunity and squeezes the Audi there in behind the GT4 traffic. That's going to be the opportunity they need. And now I've actually figured out that the new version of the broadcast client seems to break when you're going into a replay, which is unfortunate. So, oh, Dahlgren for disconnect, it seems.
Oh, really? Oh, that's yeah, that's very unfortunate indeed.
No, actually, no.
disconnect
That's just okay. Hold on. I
Before
unfortunately have
backfire
to
is
fix it
having a
again. So I can't go to the replay. You'll have to cover that for me tonight.
Sure. Yeah, unfortunate things indeed when we go over our broadcast client. Of course, if we're adding a couple of new things, sometimes we can break the system, but it's all it is. And the broadcasting client is pretty ideal if you are into ACC broadcasting yourself. I myself had to do 4 hours using the arrow keys last weekend, which really wasn't ideal whatsoever. But broadcasting client, even the native one in ACC, can be pretty useful. And here, Ryan Winch, who has just come out the pits. You can see all the GT3 cars have made their pit stops. We're still waiting on Schuler and Major, sorry, in 18th and 19th respectively overall, first and second in GT4. They need to make their stops. With just over 2 minutes to go in the pit stop phase, they have to do theirs basically this lap. The GT4 lap would put them under pressure for that pit stop window. So, of course, Alistair Clinch as well, our leader, the 420 car, also yet to make their stop. So they'll be coming in the next moments or so.
I'll be quite interested to see where they end up in the end, as we're quickly jumping back to the regular picture-in-picture. Crawford Brown, the car we've been following, is very close to Schaefer here. So yeah, Clinch with the pit stop still to go. He'll have to do a quick one, just like Jordan did. Maybe that's something that's part of the Aston Martin team, as the part of their service, really. Just getting the fastest pit stops in the West. We'll see how it goes when the 420 comes in hot.
Yeah, indeed, we'll see how that plays out. Here in your picture-in-picture, the number 1 car to go around the outside at turn 3 of a GT4, and you saw he was right at the back there of AJF, and now is visibly 3-4 car lengths behind where he once was, and that just shows how you have to negotiate the slower traffic. And I'm sure that'll ebb and flow throughout the rest of the race here between these two drivers. They are battling over P10 and P11 there. And yeah, like I say,
yeah, look how much he's already closing the gap. I'd say that's at least a 10th. Just within a couple of corners, so he'll be back to take another shot at this in no time, as he really sends it over the second curve there. Our car seems to stake, but boy, that almost seemed like a miracle.
Yeah, very sketchy indeed. Missing the first part of the chicane, went all over the curb on the second part, and yeah, very shaky indeed. The Aston Martin complaining about how to scrape its underfloor over that the curbing there. It can bite if you take too much. It will sort of fight back, and you've got to be respectful of that curb. And of course, the track limit cut detection as well, ever present, as well, as they both go around the outside of a BMW GT4. And you can see the long line, but Winch there has to take, and yeah, loses a bit more time to the Audi ahead of him, but still just under 8 minutes to go here. at the first round of the first race at the Hungaroring. There's still a bit of time for these drivers to gain any places they may have lost during the pit stop phase.
Talking about that, it just closed, and Alistair Clinch took the latest pit stop possible. RWB International AMR still leading quite comfortably in front of Mark Elgard. Same story here, 45-second pit stop, very speedy there. So McLaren Racing Team 741 driver will have probably to wait for the next race if he wants to get up into the lead here. Battling up for P3 is the combination of James Lacey and Don Jordan takeaway into the second sector here, the 69 against the 999. I don't think that we saw this coming ahead of time, really. This sort of battle where Lacey was just so dominant around Kialami last time is now just barely holding on to the final step of the podium. And yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it shows that how maybe either the drivers maybe not so confident around the circle, maybe the car isn't so suited, but also the level of each driver, maybe that you may be good at round one, and you can't afford the luxury of thinking that, oh, if you're good at round one, you're going to be good at round 2, 3, and so on. You have to bring your A game every time, because a driver may just one-up you. We saw that from the 150 car before they had their moment at the chicane. They had really upped their game from the previous rounds and are up there fighting in the top position. So the drivers continually to improve here, and I think come the last round of the season, it's going to be all hands on deck, and there's going to be fighting all over the place. The drivers improving every time we see them.
Yeah, I do really like the attitude. Some of the drivers who are not able to put in practice during the week. Also, as we have a very nice opportunity for Lacey, who's now going to take it around the outside here and very easily wraps up the job, I think. Is that the... No, that's just the G2. That's just a lagged audio. I see. I think, yeah, that's Robert de Vries. I was thinking, the liveries were just so perfectly matching that it was actually the Aston making such a mistake to the outside there. Jumping here to the battle with Jeff, Winch, and Newcomer, who've really found each other in terms of the pace. I do know that Jeff is probably gonna practice a bit more for the next one, I'd assume, considering the current finish. And yeah, at the end of the season, I think we've basically done a little bit of an academy. Everybody goes going to be very comfortable in their cars respectively, because they have just been doing so much work on them, looking at different setups, looking to really perfect a lot of these classy ACC tracks.
Yeah, for sure. If anything, I'd be pretty sick of whatever car I'd chosen for this one after 12 races around over the period of 6 weeks. And like saying, there's the practice race normally, or there's an open race on the Monday night, the night before the actual event that a lot of the drivers do show up to. And if you're doing those 2 practice rounds as well on the Monday night, come the end of it, you're going to be pretty sick of your car. But if you've just seen that there, Crawford Brown mustering out a GT4 BMW and sent him right into the barriers.
Oh, it's a different one there. Oh yeah, right. Like, who is that? So Schiller gets past unscathed, and that should be Thomas Bouvier. Didn't we see another Aston Martin earlier? Wasn't that Grass also up there? Maybe they kind of missed the pit stop once again. What's happening to the rear extra there of that Aston Martin GT4? Baffled.
Snaking.
Talking about snaking, Daniel Barnett is going to be snaking to the pit lane after receiving a drive-through just 3 minutes shy of the end of the race. That's going to be for track limits, and very unfortunate, because right now when we're checking in class, that would have been a very respectable P7 finish as well.
Yeah, very unfortunate. With 35 minutes of racing here, it's the drivers are pushing so hard, and track limits are very critical around here. It's a bit harsh compared to other tracks. It's very easy to run wide and just knock one of the 3 allowed track limit cuts you get here. And to do it so late in the stint, there's a slow GT3 car through turns 7 and 8. I'm not sure what that's about. Yeah, very unfortunate to get that drive through so late in the race.
Yeah, I honestly think it's probably one of the most gutting feelings, just so close, because you know that you have 3 warnings. You have to be careful, you can't make that compromise. So we're seeing here now on board with Kevin Shepard, who had to navigate some traffic, or be navigated around rather, following Mats Sjörbom, and now the cars that was actually chasing him. Marco Bedowski, that's a big send all the way sideways and into the wall. James Lacey dumps the car to the inside of turn 1. Tragic.
Yeah, no words.
Going back,
Yeah,
I
and
shouldn't
there's
have gone back 30 seconds. I'm gonna have to restart the client. I just want to see the replay right away.
One more time.
You're gonna have to do the next one. Just yeah.
Sure.
So defending of Badowski way off to the wall. Doesn't want to give the 5 any space. And now look how late he's trying to break. Bit of a contact there. And has to go defensive to evade any sort of contact. And now, unfortunately, the tire wall is sticking out extra far there to catch him off guard and force him to reverse out of Team 1. Alright, you'll have to cover again.
Ooh, kicks off here. If you could restart your Discord stream for me, that'd be wonderful. But yeah, all kicking off then at the end. Drops only a place though, shows testament that the top runners in GT3 were able to create such a large gap before come to the end of this race. Even an accident as spectacular, you could say, as that they've been able to not lose too much. So P5 for James Lacey isn't, quite frankly, the end of the world, but he'll be thoroughly disappointed with what's just transpired. However, the battle is still raging on over for T3. The leader is on the final lap. You just heard that call out as Alistair Clinch goes into turn number 1 momentarily. The battle over P3 then, as they are on that final lap, it's going to be raging over. Then, you know, just under or just over half a second then between Don Jordan and Marco Badwowski. And McLaren looking good here, but the 999 Aston Martin, Jordan's going to be very happy with this one if he can hold off to that P3. Like he said, he wasn't too happy with his lap in qualifying, as we had that interview in the mid-stage of qualifying to the race. He wasn't happy. He said that he had the greater race pace than he thought around the rivals around him, and he's proven it for sure, holding on to P3. But Marco Badwowski, he's not going to let that one slide if you can give him the chance.
Yeah, he's looking to improve and show what he could do. I'm honestly quite happy with the fact that he's able to put up such a performance exactly on the round. We should definitely ask him if he was the prime factor in deciding the double points here, or if that was mutually agreed on by the Aston drivers. I'm interested to see what he's got to see there. Battle in the bottom right as we see another Porsche just not managing the tires, it seems like. Once again, big slide for the number 97. That's Nate Newcomer up in the wall.
Yeah, big ouch indeed. And yeah, maybe, like I said, a lot of traction zones here at the Hungaroring, and that's what the Porsche is all about. It is very good off the line from a standing start and can do very well out of traction zones, and maybe they just ate up their tires just a little bit too much. As we have a look then at Alistair Clinch coming out the final corner for the final time here, round number 3, race number 1, across the line for the win there. Alistair Clinch takes it by just over 1.7 seconds. Mark Engelhard pushed it all the way to the end to take P2. Don Jordan will hold off then. P3 just ahead of Michael Badwowski. Don Jordan's going to be very happy for that one, without a doubt. James Lacey comes across the line pretty much, or coming through the final corner, that is then. Apologies, he's going to be a little bit unhappy with that one, but P5, he'll have a good start then, hopefully, for race number 2. Comes across the line then. P5, Schaefer under pressure all the way to the line from Chris Brown, P6 and P7.
And what a shove you saw there on Kevin Shepherd, who just barely managed to get it across the line. And you see how many lights there in the background. Everybody seemingly finished simultaneously. And while that's usually a good thing in racing, it can get quite tight.
Indeed, everyone trying to find that last little bit of extra speed coming out the final corner. And there's a plus 30 seconds for Daniel Barnett, the number 15 who crossed the line in P27 overall. So we have a look at Radek Schuler for the lead in GT4. I didn't think the BMWs would have the pace this time around, but they proved me wrong, and yeah, very impressive drive from
completely
both Radek Schuler.
Uncontested, I'd say. Macho finishing in second in class. Verstappen, despite starting out quite far, couldn't hold up with it. 55.6 is the last lap. Before they're going to be crossing the line in a second here. Comes across the line, takes the checkered flag with a P3 finish. Very respectable debut here up at the front GT4s. Honestly, I do still think there's a couple more opportunities for him in the second race here tonight.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, Verstappen and a couple of issues throughout the race, and we should see him challenge for first and second positions in that next race. And I believe they've all now crossed the line, so there we go. Yeah, a really dominant display by Shu. He just has something over the rest of the field, and yeah, like I said, I don't think the GT4 BMW would be very good around here, but I've been proven wrong quite convincingly, along with Peter Varga there coming in P5 as well. So yeah, very impressive on those BMWs. The Aston Martins in GT4 not having a fun time, and Daniel Barnett drops from P27 to P33 overall with that 30-second penalty. Not a good day for him whatsoever.
Yeah, and we do also have now putting it into the main screen here. Red, who we had in the interview 2 weeks ago with the Porsche leader here, finishing in between the GT4s. We of course saw that they had some troubles earlier in the race, but not being able to recover with the remaining time. Well, it's a compliment to Schiller, but still that should be a finishing position. Shouldn't be a finishing position for the number 7 here. All right.
Yeah, so I was just messaging the Aston Martin team leader, so you can get him a quick word. Indeed, he's already there. He's so good.
He is waiting for this. He was born for this, really.
Indeed, he's such a good little team manager, isn't he? My Discord is so in the wrong place on my screen that I can't actually bring him in. There we go. That's more like it. Finding it eventually. There we go, Jordan. Thank you very much for stopping by once again, and yeah, you're gonna be pretty happy with this one for sure.
Go, go, go.
Shit. Yeah, I am. Finally, Clinch got his win. I mean, he really deserved it. He's really, really one heck of a fast guy. So
Yeah,
I'm
long time
really
coming.
happy for. Yeah, I'm really happy for him, and he had a really solid run, like no hiccups.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, long time coming for Clinch, and yeah, took that win, and obviously to choose your double points bonus here at the Hungaroring is for GT3 for sure. Definitely paying off for you. You yourself coming in P3. You said that your qualifying wasn't the best, and that your race pace would be a little bit more favourable, and you proved that for us for sure. Obviously capitalising on a couple of misfortunes for others, but a podium for yourself, you've got to be happy as well.
I'm stoked. I'm stoked. The race went. I mean, it couldn't got much better. I don't think I have a real chance to go dealing with top 2 guys because they were really, really fast. But I mean, it was a really good race for me, so I'm really happy. Also, I saw that Winch got into top 10, which is ace. I don't know what happened to Mas. I think something should happen. Something happened to him because he got out, but still a midfield result, which is nice. And in GT4 we have one in Hex. I think it's in 6th or 7th place, which is all place. And then other guys, I think that they bring home some points, which is better than I can say for the past races. So I'm stoked for the first race.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of your drivers capitalized on. I think there was another GT4 driver got a plus 30-second penalty, and I think one of yours did gain a place on that. So that's a little extra bonus for you. And yeah, like you say, GT4 get in there, and a good result there for. I've just forgotten his name. That's not good. That's not a deal. For GT4.
X.
Yes, that's it. Axe. Yeah, good result for him, and into the second race now. We had a bit of a moment. Don't know if you saw that in your rearview mirror coming into turn 3 on the opening lap. A couple of GT3s coming into blows that did affect the GT4s just a little bit, and I don't know if they affected any of your drivers in particular. But is it the traffic management, especially that second sector? How are you guys finding that?
It was crazy. It was definitely crazy, especially I was fighting with Lacey a lot. And you know, when you're fighting and coming to traffic, you want to take the traffic into your advantage, and it was crazy. I mean, every overtake it could go either way. I think that we had some GT4 guys who were not really playing by the rules, like stick to your line and stuff. But I mean, for others, I just have to say fair game. It was a really, really tough but good race.
Yeah, for sure. We saw a couple of times that you would go to one side of the GT4 and the person you were battling would go to the other side, having to split that GT4. And like say, a couple of them not really sticking to their line. A lot of them put themselves in the middle, forcing two GT3s to go either side of it, which made sort of some interesting sort of heart and mouth moments there. And like say, if the GT4s could be a little bit more predictable for you guys, that's going to make it much easier for sure. And yeah,
It's
Sector
always,
2 is very hard in general, let alone dealing with the GT4s.
yeah, but it's always like, that you're always blaming the other guy. When you're GT4, you just want to get out of the way because you don't want your race to be ruined. So I completely understand, and I must say really fair play. I don't have I think I had a one like almost incident which I was like, oh come on. But other than that, I mean, 35-minute race in dark with 40, 50, I don't know how many cars. I mean, heads off, guys. Really, I mean, it's really fair racing.
Yeah, without a doubt. And of course, the GT4s want to do as well as they can. They don't really want to interfere with you guys. And the GT3s, they're running their own race, and you got to make it work like one big happy family. And like you say, there's 43 cars on track, and Hungary not exactly the largest or the longest nor the widest track. And yeah, you got to fit all those cars on there somehow. And yeah, it's all about working together. And as long as you can keep that peace, coming into the second race here, I think you guys will have another good time. And GT3, you guys are looking promising, and hopefully for you, your GT4 boys can bring up a couple more points for you as well.
Thanks, man. See ya.
Yeah, have a good second race.
All right, up in here, P1 and P3 finish for them in the GT3 class. That was certainly just what they were hoping for, in all honesty. Now, we're looking maybe a little bit less cooperation, a little bit more fight for all and everything into the second race with 1.5 more minutes to go. Let's quickly get a nice track side shot and have a look how dark it has gotten around here. Jumping right on over there. So first, up in class, again, you see right on there, Aston Martin, Porsche, then AMG. So that AMG, again, got the perfect start last time around. Let's see if they can make a repeat of that. There's one gap in between here, though. As I mentioned, now it's absolutely night. It's deep and dark out there. And these guys will have to show their best if they want to make something out of it in the second race here tonight in the Constructors Championship, brought to you by RST. It's up in the broadcast. Right on with me, it's Dom and Nicholas bringing this action to you. Hope you are enjoying yourselves. Oops.
Yeah, like you say, you didn't think it'd get much more darker than it already was, but yeah, it's very dark indeed. The skies will be lit though once those drivers start moving and those headlights ablaze and make it a little bit easier. It's like watching Le Mans at night. They come down the Mulsanne. You don't know what car's coming. You just see a headlight. You don't know what's going on. But, thankfully, we have our timing towers and timing screens to help us out just a little bit, finding out who is who. And there you go, a couple of headlights popping up there. It's sort of like turning on the lights in the big warehouse. They all seem to appear one by one and sort of trickle on an effect. And yeah, there they'll go. Lighting up the way.
Slowly lighting up the track, and they're going to be going around for another 35 minutes as we are starting to see a little bit of movement there. I think up at the front is jump on over there and not miss it as Alistair Clinch revs up the engine for the second time here tonight. 420 leading the way once again. And I think we're going to also put on for you this beautiful picture-in-picture as we are heading to the start-finish line. I'll let you take this one.
Thank you very much, Dean. You can see Marco Badwalski sort of shuffling backwards and forwards and ready for those lights to go out, as they do. Indeed, another good start then from Mark Engelwald, going down the middle, not able to capitalize like he did in race one, but here come the lights ablaze. A bit of a gap between those GT3s and GT4s, a bit more of a gap actually, thankfully. But down the inside goes Alistair Clinch, makes contact there with Lacey, and there's one. It's a repeat of Kyle Army once again. There's cars scattered everywhere, and in comes that GT4 field then. So we have a look in your picture-in-picture. It's 4-5 best. There's more count there you see in your picture-in-picture. Spewing off goes a GT4 Porsche there. It's carnage, man.
It's just absolute carnage. So that was an attempt to kind of salvage the P1 position, despite the fact that obviously there was so much race time still in there, and that's exactly what's going to give you a lot of penalty points. Those race 1 incidents that were completely avoidable in my opinion. And now we have a couple of cars here stuck in the midfield. Exactly this. That's actually a GT3 in the middle. More cars going off to the side. Who's that? Do you know?
Indeed, it was Jack Mason who got speared off by another GT4 going through the
another Audi
turn number 5. And there's another car around backwards there. I think that was
there's
a
more.
GT3.
There's left,
more.
right, and center that people are dying. Oh my!
It's all over the place. The picture-in-picture, you can see, but there are just lights. There's more lights coming into the chicane there. They're everywhere. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a GT4 lead this race by the end of lap 1.
Wow, what have they been up to waiting in that free practice? I mean, there must be something involved with that. Just to see such a change in temper. Complete 180 to the respect that we saw in race number 1. Let's bring up the broadcasting table here on your side, and we realize that Badowski is leading ahead of Alistair Clinch, who had to go and basically commit the first of the many atrocities that we saw in lap number 1 here in the second race and the great prize of Hungary. Sorry.
Yeah, without doubt. I was mentioning in that pre-race there that everyone should be a bit more civil and calm it down and be a bit more respectful to each other. They obviously heard that and, told me to sort of, just ignore that as around goes Xavier Eugenie through turn number 1. Cars all over the place again through turn number 1.
Track.
It's still continually being a bit more hectic there. A couple of cars going wide, and Eugenie having a bit of a spin through turn number 1. He's dropped from P11. He'll go down the order a couple more places, and I have no words. This is one of the most hectic turn or lap ones I've ever seen. Eugenie coming under pressure from I think that's Lacey then, who's regaining up his positions. Indeed it is. He's trying to gain some positions back from happened at the start, and I need a breather.
That's just so much. Look at that, almost diving and taking out there again. Just dive bombs left, right, and center. Guys, that isn't like the repeat from the last race, the end of it, where you were stuck in GT4 traffic that just gets out of the way. These guys are all for position. You gotta remember that. You can't just send it up the inside and expect people to move on over. That's just gonna be causing so much contact. We have to absolutely get a replay of this out of the race once this settles down. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and the stewards are gonna have a long night ahead of them. They're gonna be looking all over and down the inside. And there's no contact, guys. Come on. These two here, Godzilla and Crawford Brown, looking down the inside of the penultimate corner. And here comes the rest of the pack then in GT3. Yeah. They're gonna sort of swarm over this one, and down the inside goes Alex Weish. Not quite this time, but more contact. They just,
Last time around, Godzilla got squeezed in turn 1, where he was forced to make way for Jordan, in all honesty, because that was such a dive there as well. Now fighting with the gloves off, it's just all-around action up here at the front. Bit of a breakfast moment. Let's see what Alex Veach does. Is he able to spot the braking points? They're swapping places here. Up at the front, doesn't quite look like a maneuver. Not that time around. Veach is able to fend him off.
Yeah, just about holding on to it, and they bumped over the curb there through 4. It's a pretty tricky corner to get the line up through turn number 5. And cars just need to settle down, get themselves back into grooving, start making those moves, and a bit wide there. Goes
not just wide.
Round goes the 81.
Trivik, I think, lost control. I think that's one of the few times that there's an incident or a car causing yellow flags where there was no one else involved outside of the dirty air streaming from the rear wing of the cars ahead.
Indeed, self-inflicted that one. Maybe those who spun up the rears at the start of the lap and maybe got involved in contact. His rear tire still feeling a bit of damage and a bit of the pain that was inflicted on the opening laps, and just calming it down a little bit. And you can see there Alistair Clinch, who's just within 2 seconds of the lead, and obviously he won race 1 and maybe we'll try and win race 2, but surely there's a penalty coming his way for the start.
maybe we can try and work on the replay here in a second as we're falling proud for Brown, number 39 Audi. Quickly turn off the picture-in-picture so you can prepare that for us, perhaps.
Thank you.
Because the race start. Jeez, Louise. What even? Like, I'm already watching on the side of the screen. There's too many headlights for one corner. Didn't we mention that the track was particularly narrow this time? Either they ignored us, or they just didn't hear it quite right with their engines revving up for the start. Quickly maybe go back 10 seconds as we are watching if there's going to be a move here where Winch, Kerjan, and Jordan are all in a pretty deep train. Looking to the inside, room is being left that time around by Ryan Winch there. Now far to the outside, almost risking a track warning there with a very late dash on the brakes. It's very close. There's almost contact now. Looking to the inside, can't quite find the engine power needed to make the pass that time around. So they're chasing each other down into the second sector here. Very narrow. Hardly any opportunity unless there's some GT4s that you can use to fend off each other. I think we're gonna put this in the picture-in-picture and have a look at the carnage that unfolded lap 1.
Yeah, indeed. And unfortunately, I'm gonna have to use this this third-person camera. It's a camera that I despise, quite frankly, but it's really the only way that really shows off. And we're going to be looking here from the Mercedes here, the 741 car, as we look down into turn 1. Another good start from that Mercedes, but unable to capitalize. You can see down the inside goes the Aston Martin. The Porsche's already gone to the inside. There's contact there. And then the Mercedes has to check up. Around he goes, and he has a perfect view of everything that comes through turn number 1. Spin turns the correct way, thankfully. Goes to the left to make sure he doesn't rejoin, but he's right at the back of the field. And there goes everyone else. There's clouds off to the left. You can see a big dust storm on the left-hand side. That was a GT4 Porsche that got sent off and immediately trying to capitalize and go around the outside. But yeah, that was very hectic indeed at the start of the race.
And now look how far back he is. He's trying to wait for everyone. There's cars of left, right, and center. Wow.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can see there the 69 there, Lacey as well, trying to work his way, and there's a GT4 McLaren off to the right. He goes around the outside, does the 741. There's an Audi facing the wrong way through turn number 6 on the left-hand side. Another Porsche on the left-hand side. There's an Aston Martin rejoining, makes contact. Away he goes through the middle of these two. Yeah, this is one of the craziest things I've seen, and
in all of my commentary career, that's for sure. It's just walking through a graveyard of half-wrecked cars, really. It's going.
Indeed, it's like one of those war films where you're with the main character and there's people dying left, right, and center, and it's seemingly the main character's the only one that doesn't get hit of it. Obviously, he did get hit at the start, but getting his way back through at the end of this first lap, and yeah, there's cars everywhere. It's, like you say, pretty much a graveyard.
Oh, to stay with the analogy, I think that's basically this sort of dramatic where they're just descending onto the beat. He gets hit and he witnesses everybody just get shredded. Has to come back, and now hopefully to finish the mission there, as we are now jumping right on over back to the action where we saw Xavier Eugenie make a little bit of contact with Elgard in your picture-in-picture there. Well, thank you for that. I honestly think that's gonna go into my highlight reel.
Yeah, for sure. I might want to keep that one for future events and look on that. If I ever have a sad day, I'll look at that and be like, at least I didn't get involved in this.
That's the perfect saying. I really do enjoy that. Now, considering how these guys are all part of the big RWB community and mostly know each other, have been driving together as well in some events, and for sure now in the Constructors Championship third round of the season, there's just gonna be so many messages. There's people probably already with their keyboards in their hands saying, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. What happened?" Do you want to maybe bet how many messages there's gonna be in the Constructors chat? At the end of the event, until let's say 24 hours later, how many messages?
We're going to be into, well, maybe plus 500, I'd say, at the minimum. You know, the chat's normally quite active anyway after these races, but like I say, they're going to be, well, maybe hopefully there won't be too much anger or any hate-fueled messages, but there's going to be a lot of debate for sure, and maybe even in the private DMs as well. There's going to be some words said, maybe some choice words for sure. But yeah, there's a lot of emotion. Like say, a lot of people do race with each other. They're all friends here, most of them. Well, at least most of them anyway. I'm hoping most people here are friends with each other. It's a good community here on ACC, and it's an extremely friendly one here too. But of course, when things like this happen, you can't help but have a few people that are going to be, rightly so, quite angry with some other people.
Yeah, I can absolutely sign that love letter to the community. Let's keep it clean in the chat, guys. If you're watching the stream back, obviously it's let's just mostly keep it as an entertaining and a learning experience most of all. So try to put it onto the drivers themselves as say people. I wasn't expecting a repeat of Kialamia. But honestly, what I got was much more than that. It's just
Much more indeed.
Yeah. I think we basically just barely missed Robert De Vries making a bold move here, jumping up to P12 past the McLaren, unless I got that wrong. There's a car to the side of the track. Looks like a GT4 that's absolutely in the way, forcing De Vries to take an extra lap around the track, what felt like, costing him the position to Tribeck, who says thank you very much. And splits up the duo or trio. Is that steering bump? What's happening? Oh, that looks very bad for De Vries.
Yeah, that's not a good view indeed, especially if he is running that cockpit view. He's not going to be able to see anything out of that. I am just putting up a replay of something that possibly happened to Gianni Lenz.
Bring that over to you. You've got center screen. Go ahead.
This is not the right car, so I'm still finding it. But this is a replay of the number 1 car that's coming under pressure from Godzilla. There might have actually been contact here on that opening lap here, unless that was the lap before. No, not this time. But I am still trying to find the number of Gianni.
You can turn on the HUD as well, if that helps.
Yeah, I was looking through my broadcasting plan. I do need to find the 777 car, which had coming through turn 1 just a moment ago. Call it out my Conrad. This might well be it here if it's not the next lap.
So I know that it was in between the BMW and the Audi here, so I'm assuming that's probably what caused the contact with the Audi that we were chasing earlier.
Sure, it was coming into turn 1, so maybe it's the lap after. We're looking for something here. It has a very broken front nose, and maybe it's coming off the chicane here, or the exit. This time around, it could possibly be the next lap unless something happens into turn 1 here. I did just see it out the corner of my eye, and maybe looking to the inside here something happens. No, not quite. So we're going to skip forward one more lap here just to see if it does appear or not, and
maybe a little bit eager.
Yeah, maybe.
So, that's the point where they're all very close. Well, that's a big bog, and that's the Audi caught out as he doesn't hold the brakes. He completely collects them. That's a strike. Wii Sports in action.
Indeed, and yeah, sent to the barriers that 777. That explains the reason why its front nose is looking very unhappy indeed. And I bet you if it went on board, there'll be some suspension damage as well to the 777. Gianni Lenz now dropping down to P24 overall, so that is certainly behind the GT4 cars as well. And you see him pulling over a little bit here through turn 1, and he may have to park there. I'm not too sure. This is also a replay, so as that replay does then cut out. But I think he has quite possibly retired, and he is, as I joined back to him live, he is in the pits getting that damage repaired, which is good to see, and hopefully he can rejoin this race.
The action, that's for sure. Talking about the action that's happening up at the front here, we're following Guillaume Mars as he's battling it out for position number 3. Duking it with Martin Schaefer, and in the back here Don Jordan also with a very quick last couple of laps here, managing to close the gap significantly after the lap 1 incident, finds themselves in P5 with a good shot at the podium, and that exactly is what they were hoping for. Look at that, Porsche is completely dropped off. There's no BMW up here in the GT3 class basically at all, so I think with this sort of finish, if they can carry it home and manage not to take each other out, then the Astons are going to get the basically perfect run, in all honesty.
Yeah, for sure. We do have to think about what may happen to Clinch with maybe a possible penalty, but if he drops down the order, that just promotes P4 and P5 there, Mass and Jordan up a couple of positions. So really, if one falls, the others regain the positions. You know, if you take one down, you can't knock them all. So, you know, they can't be defeated so easily. And if one person loses out, the rest of the team will gain a little bit for now. So it's not quite the ideal situation, but it does for the a dampener or a bit of a stop to what could have been a much worse situation. But the fact that the other drivers are there to regain any ground that may be lost from Clinch's possible penalty coming in, and we'll hear about that next week.
It's something that we'll definitely be chasing on during the post-race discussions, see if there's any strong opinions regarding the penalties, because obviously, while there are usually the penalties, as you do see them, and as you do also see Schaefer absolutely miss the braking point at all. It seems like a brake failure, and that's sending him back to position number 4, as Guillaume Maus says, thank you very much, and puts himself in the head of this three-way fight here for the final step on the podium.
Yeah, just a small error then into turn 1, easily done, especially when it's dark, and I'm not sure if any braking markers still exist down into turn 1. I don't know if any braking markers exist anywhere on this track, quite frankly.
I think it's to the left there, but honestly, if I'm looking at how Schaefer has been going into the turn 1 the last couple of times, you'd come to think that he's using the GT4s as a reference, really.
Thank you. Very different braking markers. Indeed, so Schaefer then in an Aston Martin sandwich at the moment. You see him cut a bit too much grass there through turns 8, 9, 10 as we go through 11 now. Yeah, Don Jordan, who had good pace in the second half of the stint then, as we are in that pit stop phase at the moment. We've still got 10 or so minutes left of the pit window. We'll see how this trio deal with that as they come into those options come available to them. But yeah, Don Jordan was definitely looking promising in the second half of the stint, and maybe you can replicate that again, get past Schaefer and put Mass under a bit more pressure. I think one of them just dove to pit road.
Yeah, just the right time to do so. Pit window now at the halfway point as well, just like the race. 17.5 minutes of action still to go. Nate Newcomer right now looking to take away P9 from Veach here. And I think he's going to have a good shot here, considering how the GT4 is now going to move a bit to the racing line here as well, chasing both of them around the long route. So they're following each other into the final corners of the track here. On board in the bottom right, you see what he's going to do, mostly entering the pit road, that seems. Yeah. Now, what I have been interested in talking about, obviously, Radek Schiller doing a great job, as almost expected to be expected at this point. But Jacob Tarantino, would you have a look at that lapping already around in position number 2 in class here? It's the number 22 Porsche Cayman that you're seeing right there, getting all feisty with the 43. Very interesting to see that Trentovitz is actually almost fighting him for position here quite heftily. He'll have to get creative, and he does. So jumping up to the inside there of the BMW and sticking for the position. That's going to cost him about 3-4 seconds to Schiller as he goes very deep in here. Maybe it's time for him to pit. See what he does.
I would think so, and yeah, it looks like it indeed. And speaking of pit stops, our once leader Badwaski has made their way to pit road as well, along with Martin Schaefer. And yeah, I certainly, if you get a compromised run out of the final corner, you might as well minimize that effect and dive straight for pit road. It's probably one of the sensible things to do.
Such a low exit speed then anyway that it's probably the way to go. Quickly checking in here. Now, what we see is 1, 2, 3, all Aston Martin. Right there. It's a moment in time until Badowski and Schaefer join them back on track. But he's probably going to frame that and put it on his bedroom wall.
Oh, for sure. You know, he can flick back to the VOD of the stream, just pause it, get a little bit of get a little snapshot of that, and there you go, boom, blow it up, put it on the wall, 1, 2, 3. Sure, they're very happy with that for sure. You know, you just cut out the amount of time remaining and the fact that they still have a pit stop to go. You know,
it's the perfect picture.
The context. Exactly.
when you were starting to say and blow it, did you say blow it out? I was thinking you're gonna go somewhere else with that.
Oh, like yeah. As I
Yeah,
said,
with
some more
making love to that triple podium tonight.
Well, you never know. Whatever you do in your spare time is up to you, of course. And sometimes you're very passionate about what you believe in, and with a top 3 result for that, as a team owner, I'd be very happy with a top 3 in all.
I'd be pleased and excited.
Very much
at the end of my night. See where this brings us as we're checking in with the fight for P17 here. Xavier Eugeni, we had him in the picture a little bit earlier in that BMW number 42 here. Currently with the pit stop, a bit further down the pack, and I don't think that BMW is going to have the best run here tonight. Honestly, it's kind of sad to see them so far back the order in the GT3 grid after being so close to Porsche with their bonus round last time round.
Yeah, for sure. The BMWs in GT3 at least not really suiting this one. Along with GT4 BMW's been able to hold up, but yeah, the GT3 is just not having a fun time of it. It seems, along with the Porsches as well, not seeming to have all the best time, but of course that can swing both ways. BMW will look to have a good round at Monza and Spa, the final 2 rounds of the season. You see him weaving all over the place, trying to put the Porsche ahead of him, a bit under pressure, trying to throw him off his nerve just a little bit.
He's definitely not letting him go easily. Trebek will have to basically put on some new fastest laps, considering the pace between the two is a little bit different. We keep on following this as I see Red once again a bit further back in the middle of the pack here, caught in some GT4 traffic. Well, in this case, for position. Actually, I do want to have a quick look at Verstappen, though. Maybe we can bring that up in the picture-in-picture as we're following Eugenie almost to the outside. So, Verstappen is P24, the number 747, if you want to find that.
Got him there, and he is beautiful. Pressure then on Mr. Tarantino. You can see how that battle's going to unfold coming
that
on
up for you
into the following stages. They have both made their pit stops, the 2 ahead of them, Varga and Major, yet to make their pit stops, along with Schuler and Gilbert Woods. Gilbert Woods having a much better time of things this race. Race 1 for him didn't go all his way in that number 8 McLaren, but seemingly picking up the pressure there. And there's the 911 Aston Martin. Of course, like we've seen previously, the Aston Martins or the GT3 cars really liking to get in the way of everyone, and down the inside goes the McLaren there, has to force the 747 off the line, and there's a Porsche as well, the 69 car then as well, going down the inside. Around the outside goes 747, says no, not this time, Porsche, you can stay behind me for just one more corner. They're all fighting over track position here, regardless of class, and you can see that he's already lost a little bit of time there to Tarantino. Has to have a compromise line through the final corner. There goes the Porsche to the pit lane. Anyway,
they're fighting for every inch on the track. It's incredible. You could barely fit a piece of paper in between the two as the McLaren made a move there to the inside. That's just super tight, and honestly, wow. Really great driving. In the background here, we did see Eugenie, I think, getting past Trebek here.
Oh, there's a bit of contact there in the background. I'm going to have to shuffle back a little bit. One of the cars are going slow. Yeah, the 150, I think, had a bit of a moment. Possibly with Brown, I'm thinking, there. Into turn 1. Yeah, just saw that at the corner of my eye. Not quite sure what happened there, but a bit of contact going into turn 1.
So I feel like the 150, great pace, and if you can get him to run warm and have a clean race, that's fantastic. But look at that big slide. I think it's the nerves.
Just been involved and definitely been shaken up in that first race, getting involved in the accident going through the corner that he is right now. And yeah, maybe the fact that they don't normally run up such a high position that the nerves can creep in. I know sometimes if I get myself into a position where, or a high position that I'm expecting, I do, sometimes get a bit nervous because you put yourself on the line with such a high position that could be, affecting him. And he is the leading Mercedes at the moment. That could be, something he doesn't want to let his teammates down here and lose any more positions. So it could certainly be it, but. Brown there in the 39. Audi pushing on, and he is still ahead of Jeff there. So Jeff really not gelling with the conditions here. We thought maybe in the second race to be able to overcome whatever issues he had in race number 1, but not able.
Quickly changing over here as we see a very aggressive Don Jordan in the Aston Jordan now to the outside for turn 1. He's been getting a bunch of runs here on Schaefer and is looking to switch to trade positions very soon here. He's got his eyes set on P4. Alright, yeah, so to follow up, Kayan being the leading AMG, that's probably not where he exactly expected to be during this race, and he has to represent and he has to make the team chief proud here. So, in all honesty, he's doing a good job. We have to acknowledge that.
Yeah, for sure. He's obviously the best out of all the Mercedes. Those where his teammates have sort of floundered a little bit, he's been able to pick up the pieces for his team. And yeah, he's going to be proud with what he's done this round for sure.
Now, Don Jordan here, I think we're going to quickly take the opportunity, go on board and chase the McLaren together here. The 27 of Schaefer is the car leading this pace here, fighting for P4 as Clinch again takes the latest possible pit stop. Seems to work for him. Let's find out where he comes out on track this time around, where we now have Badowski potentially fighting him for the lead here, depending how the pit stop strategy pans out.
Yeah, pit stop window coming to a close, and you've seen your picture-in-picture the battle over P3 and P4 in GT4. Then there's a Mercedes GT3 spin in between there. Jacob Tarantino and Christopher Verstappen. They were side by side as we look past the banner. Annoyingly, that banner in the way through the anti-penultimate corner, but Verstappen putting on the pressure on the 22 Porsche Cayman GT4 car, and yeah, this battle is not over yet. They were side by side just a moment ago, and they're going to be side by side once again, I can assure you that.
It's as far from over. Clinch still maintaining first here. This data is going to update when Badowski crosses over the line. He isn't far. It's about 3.5 seconds separating the two. Team McLaren, Team Aston Martin, and look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars in a row. All from these two manufacturers. That's the ping pong game tonight.
Yeah, very much ping pong, of course. They're all from the same manufacturers, and they are alternating each time around, which is
most importantly, they're shuffling each other around the track in the first couple of laps.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's also quite a nice picture indeed. You might have seen that on the bottom of the timing tower just a moment ago, but Peter Varga had a drive-through penalty, and he shuffled his way off the bottom of the timing tower whilst he serves that one. So, and he was doing quite well there. I think P4, P5 in GT4, if not P3, I believe, has taken himself out of contention with a drive-through penalty, which is unfortunate. You did mention this in the pre-race before we went live, that there would be some drive-through penalties, and we saw one in the first race, and we've seen one in the second race. There's still 6.5 minutes to go, still time for drivers to make another one, as Lacey is also in the pits from P17.
And exactly this phase, when we're taking a look to the inside, Craigfoot Brown uses the opportunity given, takes it by its head, gets it right on in there to the inside, and gets the position up into 8th, shoving Kieran out of the way. It's a rough one for him in the second half of the stint. Now, this is exactly the sort of maneuver that I was sort of hinting at. Time is running low, and these drivers who think they have a good opportunity, they're going to take them as soon as they come.
Yeah, without a doubt, and especially for GT4s who have maybe one less lap as they're just that little bit slower around each lap, and they need to take every opportunity that they can take, and that's certainly the case then for Verstappen, who's right in the tail of the car ahead. Jacob Tarantino goes down the inside of a lapped down Porsche GT4, but there's still lapped cars in the way, and there's a 43 BMW in the way of Tarantino. That holds them up. They go side by side through turn number 1. And wasn't able to capitalize on that one was Verstappen, but still you can see how the lapped cars, as a lapped GT4 Aston Martin gets out the way, and then there's a 43 still in the way here. This is not full position here, holding up the Porsche. Down the inside goes the Porsche, to the left-hand side goes goes Verstappen. Surely that's not going to work. We're going to go Helicam for this one. 3 wide, and there's contact. I thought there would be.
Oh,
Indeed,
yeah.
all 3 of them making contact. Tarantino able to get away quite neatly there, actually. Thankfully, he's rejoined, and I think hasn't lost a place at all. So thankfully for himself, Jacob there getting away with minimal casualties, but Verstappen may come under pressure from Emil, the 1-2-3. Not quite sure where he is on the track, but I think really forced there by Verstappen going down the inside majorly for seemingly no reason. He wanted to get past that 43 BMW, missing the chicane there as well, and yeah, that was all enforced there by Verstappen being a little too overzealous, a little too ambitious coming into the kink.
Let me be clear though, what was that by Justin Burley? The 43, everybody got the memo. These guys are fighting for the lead in class. Pit stops are over. This is not for position. Lots of them just made the way. If you're fighting for what is essentially P18, 19 in your respective class, there's no need to hold up the leaders like that and basically almost enforce the collision that had to happen eventually.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know why he just didn't back out of it and was holding up. I think he was battling for position with a Porsche, but they had both just lapped, so maybe that was the reason he didn't want to lose any time to those 2 leaders to sacrifice his own battle. But at some point, you do need to, give way to those who are leading the way in your class. And yeah, just, he put it to the outside. I don't think he was really expecting Verstappen to go to the far inside and run wheels on the grass there.
Right.
Which was maybe he forced a little bit of the issue, but still the 43 had ample time to get out of the way and chose not to.
Yeah, that's something that they're probably also going to be looking at the end of the race here. Following Mad Al, I think he might have gotten past the Trenkovitz. Let me check where Trenkovitz is actually. So that's the car ahead. Okay, so that's the AMG. We also saw that once front runner Matja, also with some big damage there, as we're seeing a drive-through applied to the 777 by Lenz, adding insult to injuries. He's already 4 laps down, and that's probably game over for him.
Yeah, might as well just park the car at that point. Yeah, it's gone downhill for him. In your picture-in-picture, you've got RWB Hackers then, or Hacks, for the Aston Martin squad. He's coming, or he's trying to put pressure on the 1-2-3. The 1-2-3 goes wide, and here's the 43. This could be some deja vu here. This is the 43 that caused the issues with Verstappen. We're going to jump to Verstappen, who's literally just behind these 2. You can see them there. There's a GT3 Audi actually in the middle. There goes down the outside then. Was Hackers getting past Jacob Tarantino. You can see that 43 BMW there, the black one on the far left, may cause a bit of an issue. Stays to the left-hand side, allows those 2 to get through. And yeah, 43 being a bit of an issue in this one, and maybe so again, having to force Verstappen around the outside through the penultimate corner. But there you saw just in front of your picture that Hackers there was able to get past the BMW, the 1-2-3 there of Emil. For position there, that's 21st and 22nd overall.
Now, to the inside there, actually, Serber loses another position because that's De Vries. He was looking and waiting for the opportunity. Audi may be able to seize both places here right away. The unexpected contender from the different class. Brother from a different mother, that's for sure. In this case, as he goes around to the inside.
What a beautiful move. It's the cleanest I've ever seen, Had beautiful traction out of turn 1. Hackers had no answer to that one whatsoever, and there you go. Placemate from Robert De Vries up to 21st. Hackers, can he fight back? It's going to be hard, but
it's unlikely. Yeah, he'll have to try his best. That's for sure. He have to take out his A game.
For sure. De Vries not finished though. Just up ahead is Jacob Tarantino. That is also for position. There goes that. Or is that one there? Is that the 22? Not too sure, but the 22 is just up the road, and that is for position. Yeah, so obviously De Vries having a bit of a torrid time. The fact that he still had to get through GT4 drivers with the remaining, well, not too long in the session.
Yeah, it's probably going to be the final lap here. Clinch is leading the way still in this big ping pong. Only real opportunity is going to be for Don Jordan. If he can get a nice run on Schaefer, that's there. The same battle for P4 that we were following earlier. For those who tuned in a bit later into the stream here. So the 999 has ambitions to put the 27 in 5th position. However, he'll have to get past some very beautiful defense here so far. Schaefer closing all the doors and making sure the car is in the right place.
Without a doubt. Yeah, Schaefer has been pretty good on the defense for the entirety of this championship, so expect him to be exactly the same and hard to pass around here at the Hungaroring, and Schaefer's going to make that McLaren as wide as he can. I haven't heard the call out for the leader on the final lap yet, so
yeah,
I think these guys will be coming on to the final lap.
Yeah, Clinch is actually going to take the checkered flag in 2 turns here, the 420 here. We have the double strike. It's going to be Clinch and Clinch here. Well done. I have to say, I have to congratulate him. It's just the drive for him tonight, and he takes the checkered flag. P1, Alistair Clinch, and with a gap as well. Marco Badowski here, 45, fought well, didn't quite get there in time, 43.4. That is actually the fastest lap of the race by the Team McLaren driver, but it isn't going to be enough to tame the Clinch front running that's happened here tonight. Guillaume Mars in the GMR 911 taking 3rd position, and Martin Schaefer actually finished in P4 ahead of Don Jordan in 5th. Then Magnus Dahlgren in the number 89 McLaren, and the final participant in the ping pong matchup tonight, Ryan Winch, finishing 7th position. And actually what's quite funny is that result will actually not count because there's already 3 cars in the same class ahead of him. Crawford Brown very happy to jump back to the pit lane, probably dusting off his steering wheel there with a towel, sweating, getting that sweat and debris off there after such an intense race. Jeff is finishing here in 9th, Elgard, then Godzilla in 11th. Kieran couldn't quite bring it home. I think that's going to be P12 for him, I would assume, as we almost missed how Schiller crossed the line. Once again, flawless drive there from P1 to its fastest lap in class as well, 52.7, even faster than in the quali. That's just the statement right on there, as Jacob Tarantino is not going to finish ahead of De Vries. Quite unfortunate for him. He'll have to do with 19th position, 2nd in class, ahead of RWB Hacks. That's the first leading Aston Martin in the GT4 class. Then Emil Sjöblom completes that pack in the 1, 2, 3, 3rd position in class. Then Craig Gilbert-Wood is 20th overall, and Matcha carrying home after a recovery drive. Look at the hood there.
Yeah, they damaged it. Didn't get past Verstappen at some point during that final lap, or at least the penultimate lap. Verstappen losing another place then in the dying stages, and yeah, that was very chaotic indeed across the board. And we'll try and get Don Jordan in again for a quick little word, and I'm sure he's got a lot
before
to
you.
say.
Yeah, let me quickly bring this up, because despite everything, I just have to look at the start of the race again before we get the interview in. That was just yeah. You can bring him in here. He can also watch if he wants to. It's just he probably hasn't seen it from this perspective yet.
I immediately asked him, and boom, there he is, ready and waiting. He's very good at this, isn't
he? Yeah, we said it already. He was born for this. The team chief. Maybe join us in the broadcast booth sometime outside of just giving the interview. Jordan here. Hello and welcome. What a finish. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. I must congratulate my team. They did amazing job. I mean, I'm super happy about us.
Yeah, without a doubt. Unfortunately, Ryan Winch's result won't count. Obviously, it's the top 3 drivers for each team that score the points. But still, 7th place for him. We may have a brief moment, maybe with the 420. Obviously, there was a moment into turn 1 for him, so that could cause a bit of a penalty, unfortunately for one of your drivers. But yeah, regardless of that, you've got to be happy with the result for GT3 in race 2.
Yeah, I mean, we showed that we are one of the top, if not the top team. I mean, we got from the first every 2nd position. So if it wouldn't be for blah blah blah, it would be like first 3.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, you had a bit of a troubled start with a couple of issued drivers, we'll say, in the first 2 rounds. But like I said at the top of the show, you've rectified that, you've learned from it, you've progressed from it, and you've showed everyone how it's done this weekend. And very much so that it's on your double points weekend as well. But you've capitalized on that, and yeah, you've blown everyone away, quite frankly, with the result you had in not only the first race but with the second race as well. You've showed everyone up for sure.
Thanks for the kind words, guys. Yeah, I think that. I mean, I had a tough race. I had like 15-second damage on my car. My rear was like dancing around like crazy. But as everyone of our team, I know I gave my best, and I'm happy with it.
And that incident into turn one, what was your view into turn one? Obviously, you're seeing a car facing backwards, a couple of cars facing the wrong way. What were you? How did you deal with that? And I don't know if did you get through that all right or not? I can't. There's so much happened to me. I can't remember who got involved in it and who didn't.
Well, I
So
was in
is
the
that where the damage came from?
yeah, exactly. I was in the far I was in the inside far right, so really inside at the cork, and I just sensed sandwiching around me, and I was like, oh shit, I don't have a runoff area there to go somewhere.
Mm.
And I try to feather the brake and stay like minimal distance. But then I saw a car in front of me turn, and it was just like doop, 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 doop.
Yeah,
And yeah,
it's
there
domino
where
effect.
yeah, exactly. And there when I got the damage, and of course with the damage I dropped like to 10th place, and of course I was nervous. And in the first lap I got all 3 warnings for track limits.
Oh
Oh
my.
wow.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, so that's when you are battling someone and you got really loose
yeah.
back end, and you know that the moment you touch the white line, you must just brake, because otherwise you will have drive through. It was really nerve wracking at the end. I know that if I just had like 2 more, crossing the lines, I would use them to attack McLaren even more aggressive, because he was really aggressive on the covering his line, maybe a bit too aggressive. But um,
We
it's
had fun
racing.
watching,
It's
yeah.
fun.
Yeah, without a doubt. And
Let's give you a little treat. If you check on Discord, you can actually see that I'm sharing a screen here, and we're gonna
so you
jump on
might want
over
to bring
and
that one back up.
have a quick look at your lap 1 here.
Yeah, you might want to bring up the stream on that one, Nicholas.
Right.
But whilst you do that, I'll just mention that obviously you used up your track cuts immediately, and the fact that you were so compromised for the rest of the race and were still able to put pressure on everyone is quite remarkable indeed. Is that stream?
Yeah, so this was the run up into T1. And a very aggressive Porsche behind you, leaving you basically no room.
Exactly. I had
so
a really
far on
good
the
start,
inside.
but I wanted yeah, here, see, it was just like domino. I wanted to cover mass, because I know that if Porsche come like right of us, it will be game over, because then it will be 4 or 5 wide. So that's why I was really defending aggressively. And
Right.
here I was behind Mozilla, and I knew that Mozilla is really careful in the first few laps, so I took advantage of that and maybe dive bombed it a bit. I just knew that. I mean, it was not very nice of me, because I know he's a nice driver and he's really careful at the first lap. So yeah, I just went full send on him.
Let's look at that, full send right on here. Very late on the brakes and hardly any overlap, forcing him out wide. Probably giving him a cut with that as well.
Yeah, with Aston, you can really, as we said before, brake late, and I use that to put up the pressure on drivers. When I'm driving in front, every time I really closed up, I look in the mirror and then I lost focus for a bit, and that's what I'm doing constantly to the one driving in front of me.
Yeah, just trying to. Obviously, with the headlights ablaze, it's very easy to just distract the car ahead. If you show your nose to the inside, they're gonna look at that in the mirror, and like I say, they're gonna break concentration just ever so slightly. And yeah, you did that very well. And to come up from P10 to where you finished, was it P3 or P5?
P5.
P5.
I was
Oh yeah, very clear. Yeah. Putting pressure all the way
this
on.
was just the overtake.
On Schaefer.
Oh, we just lost the overtake.
Wait, do we? Okay, I'll go back.
Yeah.
Just for you. Just for you.
You gotta see the after. But yeah,
Yeah, we have to see. Right, there you go. She gets it very far, actually, leaving a lot of room. And he's just gonna stay out of that and say, alright, there's more cars heading over. Every time I look back at this replay, I find more cars
more
leaving the
going
track.
on. Yeah, exactly. You might want to watch this one back, Jordan, on the first lap, because we were having a very fun time of things commentating on the first lap. You may not have known what was going on behind you, but there was a fair amount, kicking off. It was a bit like Kyalami, but worse. And yeah, to be honest, you probably got out of it. Of those who made contact, you probably got out of it quite lightly compared to a few other cars out there.
Oh, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
But I will
No.
gladly watch the
Yeah.
stream. I mean, you guys are really rocking the stream. I had so much fun rewatching next day last race, and surely I will do the same for this one.
Yeah, appreciate to hear that, man. And as your race weekend now comes to a close, obviously you've just had your double points, and really it couldn't have gone much better. You really utilized your double points. And did you choose this car specifically because of you knew the car would be good here, or because it was a driver preference? What made you choose that Hungaroring would be your double points round?
Actually, it was my personal preference, and I knew that Astons are strong in this track because they're really strong in corner entry, and you can really use it as you saw in this track. So that was my two main points.
Yeah,
Because I
nothing.
said I didn't knew what my crew actually can do, and I was like, okay, if I know that I can deliver at one race, I know I can deliver here, so we have some sure points.
Yeah, without a doubt, that's obviously worked out very well for you. And the final one for me tonight is looking for next round number 4 as we move into the second half of the season. We're off to Imola. And how do you think you're going to fare there?
Personally, I have no clue because I never raced Imola before. I have 0 medals there, so it will be a fun. It will be a
dear.
fun week. I mean, if I get all 3 medals in a week, this will be the most training I've done so far. So, but judging the race, I mean, for the race, I'm actually really looking forward to it because we have such a huge weather randomness, and I like the unpredictability because it adds the strategic part of the game. So yeah, I mean, I think for me, I will be mid-pack. I have again high hopes for my strong team that others are doing better at Imola. And I'm looking forward to maybe game places not on track but in strategic pit stops or something.
Yeah, without doubt, like you say, that weather randomness will be the highest we see this entire season, along with the clouds being the second highest level for this season. So rain, yeah, it may well play a factor in this one, and like you say, it may change conditions pretty wildly over the course of a 35-minute race, which is going to be an interesting challenge for you drivers, and I'm sure you guys will overcome it to the best of your abilities. But yeah, thank you very much for your time, Jordan. And if you've got anything to say, Nicholas, bid you feel well.
Yeah, just again, congratulations. You couldn't have done more, to be honest. Should be super happy with yourself. Crack yourself open a cold one, and then once that has worn off, make sure that you're getting some Imola practice in. If you want to follow up on the statement, and I'll have to hold you up to that in the future. You said that you were one of the top teams, if not the top team, and if that isn't the perfect thing to end on, I don't know what it is. So again, congratulations.
Thanks, guys. You're ace. Cheers.
Yeah,
All
appreciate
right.
your time, Jordan. Yeah, like he says, he's put a statement out there for sure for all the
It's
other team managers to
it,
fear, quite possibly saying that he himself and the rest of the team are the ones to beat. And they were at the bottom of the standings coming into this round, but with such a mega round that they've had, they're definitely going to be on the
yeah,
back of the Porsche and BMW, if not maybe ahead of I believe it's BMW who are second in the championship.
yeah.
They
We'll
may
find
well
out about that one. You can think about me and like rubbing my hands here, thinking
yeah,
about
I'm
all the
excited
beef.
for the second half for sure.
It's about to break out. Yeah,
Yes, the gloves are very much off for the rest of the season. Of course, Porsche and BMW having had their bonus rounds, Aston Martin just have had theirs this round. Yeah, Aston Martin would probably go second, I think, in the championship with the way they performed, with BMW having quite a torrid time of things at this round. Round number 4, then, looking forward through the calendar, we are, like I said, off to Imola, which is going to be interesting. And Imola, a track that has been relatively recent to the edition. I think that came in December.
Just
last
ahead of
year.
the British GT
Yeah.
DLC. It's
Along
basically
the
one of
the Intercontinental pack, I believe it was with. Yeah, so pretty new, and a lot of championship races, other series hosted on ACC have utilized it, but like I say, a track that's relatively new to sim racing in general. I would say it was on the original Acela Corsa, but you don't really see it all too often. It's not really a track that's a first pick for most drivers, and it's very narrow, a bit like Hungaroring. It's going to be quite narrow.
I was about to make that comparison. It's really quite similar in a lot of ways. It's the track limits, it's the sort of curvature that we have on some corners, for example, getting the same S chicane. It's very interesting in all things considered, with the weather that we're about to witness there as well. But I'm just interested to see what we're going to find out in the chat at the end of this. I can't even look that far ahead when I'm I'm already so excited for the rest of the week and seeing what these guys can do next Tuesday.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It'll be Audi who have the double points and the double penalty points bonus for next round. Obviously, Audi having a bit of a mediocre race or mediocre round at this one, but hopefully they can regain their strength for round number 4 at Imola next week. It's going to be an exciting one.
So thank you everybody so much for watching. It's been the Tuesdays Constructors Championship. If you're still watching out there, make sure you drop a thumbs up on the video as well. Say something nice in chat for us to read when we are also rewatching the stream, maybe perhaps. And until then, that'll be Dom and Josh. Sorry, not Dom and Josh. Dom and Nicholas. I'm actually forgetting my own name. It's so much. Yeah, messing that up.
That's amazing.
It's the first for me as well. Wonderful stuff. Either way, we hope that you've been enjoying your time as much as we have. And with that, we're going to be out. See you until next time.